fucking fake. Fuck. Alright, so yeah, we're good to go. Just a goofy wooded check. Oh, I don't know. I feel like playing. I really feel like fucking playing. Fuck TikTok. TikTok got me tight. I wanted to fucking stream and now I can't fucking stream. Fucking TikTok. TikTok, dio. It's garbage. I don't know why I keep thinking about that song, man. I guess I'm his homies. I remember fucking listening to that shit on the train, and my homie Chris kept just saying like, "Yo, like these hoes ain't loyal," and we were singing it and shit, and these two girls just look at us like they're fucking offended and disgusted. We keep singing it. But that's what made it funny, because like we're not like talking about them, but like of course you would think that we're talking about you because you're a girl. But we looked at each other and we just started laughing. And this shit was fucking funny. I miss New York, man. I miss New York. I had some crazy memories. I don't have a lot of memories like that in Japan, unfortunately. Nigga can't do nothing for you. All day long. These hoes ain't loyal. When a rich nigga wants you, and your nigga can't do nothing for you. Nah, these hoes ain't loyal. Now I need to find a fucking video to watch. When's the last time I listened to Chris Paul? Yeah, it's been some time. Coffee Crime I feel like listening to. So let's listen to some Coffee. It's been a while. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I need to watch these videos. Shit. Technically, it's a 4. So I'm gonna watch the hour ones. That's crazy. Alright, so here we go. Alright, here we go, guys. Let's fucking watch. Coffee. Fucking Coffee.
Watch the video and find out for yourself, but this one will be sure to split the audience. By the way, Coffee House Crime is all about true crime, strange and in case. Hey folks, killer in disguise. Sidney Powell was thought to be a kind, sensible and loving daughter, but it turns out that this 19-year-old student was actually a killer in disguise. When Brenda Powell returned home after a shocking revelation, she had no idea that the conversation she was going to have with her daughter would end in the most violent and sadistic of ways. And even after this series of terrible events, our assailant would do her very best to trick the authorities. Hi folks, and welcome back to Coffee House Crime. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at the potentially clinically insane case of Sidney Powell. Now I say potentially because, well, just watch the video and find out for yourself, but this one will be sure to split the audience. By the way, Coffee House Crime is all about true crime, strange and chilling stories, and the best way to support me is by subscribing to the channel. So, if you want to see more stories...
Listen to Sergeant Lee's. Let's do that. Because I want to start doing fucking missions. I have way too much shit on my shit. Where would it be though? Misk. No, would it? Wouldn't it be here? Sergeant Lee. Oh, these holes. Yeah, there you go.
A nest full of deathclaw eggs. A dozen, maybe more. Smashed to bits. Except...
Wait, go back.
A nest full of deathclaw eggs. A dozen, maybe more. Smashed to bits. Except... this one. No wonder they wouldn't tell us what was in that case. If I'd known, I would have personally told the gunner bosses and that glorified liquor cabinet in Wellingham to take those Diamond City caps and stuff them. I guess we know why that Deathclaw tracked us all the way from Lynn Woods now. We stole her damn kids. Christ. Maybe if we just return the eggs. Oh, hey, Mama. You looking for this?
That's when he died. I need to go here. Wait, this too. I mean, I'm curious to be honest, because I always gave it back. I want to see what happens if I do the exact opposite. Yeah, how many hours? Oh, just 16 minutes, bro. It's not a big deal. Oh, these hoes ain't loyal. No. These hoes ain't loyal. Yeah. But who the fuck do I give it to? Where in Diamond City do I get the fucking egg to? That's here. Right there.
Hey, no shame in taking the occasional Ken. Solomon can hook you up.
I may have been programmed to serve, but in your case, I shall do so disdainfully. Let me know when you're ready to order.
You waiting on a delivery? Of some Deathclaw eggs, maybe?
What are you... Oh, the eggs. Oh, you must be with those, gunny people. Though your superior had implied there would be more of you, but... Oh, no matter. The negotiated fee was 200 caps per egg. A generous amount indeed, considering your tardiness. Though our clientele do expect nothing short of the most pristine Deathclaw eggs. Now, do you have something for me?
What exactly are you planning to do with the eggs?
Our plans for the eggs are none of your concern. Now, are you going to hand them over or not?
Here. Take it.
At last. But is this it? Where are the rest?
Sorry. That's the only one that made the trip. There were... complications.
Well then, I suppose this will have to do. Yeah, for a less than adequate job, but a job nonetheless. And the special request your superior made? Major Jeffries, was it? I trust you can get this to its destination. Don't just go waving it around willy-nilly.
Wellingham! Has my meal finally arrived?
Oh, yes, sir. Endless apologies for the ludicrous lateness of it all. It should be ready.
And no, he's dead. I mean, I can't go to him. I don't know why it keeps showing up. Travel to Slough, find the cure. Oh, hole in the wall. I still didn't do it. Damn, that's a lot of shit, bro. Hole in the wall. I mean, why does it keep showing up? He's fucking dead, bro. He's not gonna magically come alive.
Stories like this, please hit subscribe now. I also try to respond to most comments in the first hour of all videos going live, so if you want to catch me, hit the bell notification too. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Sidney Powell.
動画を楽しむならユーロ光映画ドラマライブ
He's fucking dead, bro. Like, the fuck? Hole in the wall.
そこでユーロ光通信速度は最大10ギガこの快適さもう戻れない月額980円
This is gonna be easy.
ユーロ光
Just Deathclaws I gotta fight. I mean, more rats.
Welcome to Akron, Ohio, folks. Found just south of Cleveland in the Buckeye State, Akron is a relatively small city with no more than 200,000 residents calling it home. Known as the rubber capital of the world. Welcome to Akron, Ohio, folks. Found just south of Cleveland in the Buckeye State, Akron is a relatively small city with no more than 200,000 residents calling it home. Known as the rubber capital of the world, there are only two things that could possibly mean. Unfortunately, it's the boring option today. Akron is well known for its tire production, with the likes of Goodyear, Firestone, Goodrich, and General Tire calling this place home. Surprise, surprise, manufacturing city is plagued with chemical toxicity from the constant release of polymers into the land, water, and air.
Wait,
Although it is
did
rather
I-
mild, that makes it even worse in a way, because
I
chronic
didn't do
diseases
something
caused
last
by these
time.
occupational toxins
Ah,
take
I need to go
20
back.
years to manifest. Maybe it was the fumes that made our
Here,
killer
yeah.
in this video so incredibly thick. But before we get there, let me introduce you to an
Before I start doing that.
Brenda Powell. Born on March the 19th, 1969 in Salem, Ohio, Brenda Powell was a natural caretaker. Even from a very young age, she loved to work with kids and was deeply interested in caring for other people. Now, naturally, as she progressed through her education, she geared her study.
Let me see, baby. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Interesting.
Towards her passion for caretaking and
Hold on. Where did he go? Jay-Z's still in I have no idea who the fuck this guy is. I don't know who he is. Sorry.
so it is no surprise that after graduating from the University of Akron with
Hey,
a
how are
child
you?
life degree, she worked at the nearby healthcare facility named Akron's Children's Hospital. While here, Brenda's skill set and calm demeanor were recognized as she worked with children of all ages, specifically working with the Center for Childhood Cancer and Blood Disorders. Her motherly attitude and deep understanding of childcare made her a massive asset to the team. And over the course of the next
That's it,
28
right? Yeah,
years,
that's it.
she worked in this hospital. She also went on to develop the West Oncology Team program and plan activities to help families and children celebrate each step of the recovery from cancer. Brenda was legendary at that hospital, and children and co-workers alike absolutely loved her. She was like a second mother to many, treating the children that she cared for just like her very own. Focusing on her personal life, Brenda was a happily married woman with 2 children. Her husband, Steve, described her as deeply devoted to her work, friends, and family. After meeting in the year 1999,
You like old stuff,
it
don't
didn't
you?
take long for the couple
Don't
to
see the
find a
point.
lot, and
That
only a
time's
year
long
later,
gone.
the 2 were happily married. Soon after marriage, they found their firstborn daughter to be on the way. The couple excitedly named her Sydney, and soon after, her brother Andrew followed a few years later. The 4-person family happily lived together peacefully in Akron, Ohio. Brenda and Steve were financially well off too, meaning the family did not have much to worry about when it came to money. Hats off to them, they provided a stable and happy home for their children, and hopefully they would end up just as healthy as their home environment. Sydney and Andrew were born into a Catholic home, and as for education, Sydney first attended St. Sebastian Elementary School before graduating from St. Vincent St. Mary High School
I didn't
in
need that.
2018. While in high school, Sydney performed exceedingly well and was well known to be an absolute pleasure to be around by both teachers and students alike. She was friendly but not outspoken, and was well liked but did not go out of her way to grab attention. I guess you could say that she was ambiverted or quietly confident. Friends say she came across as shy when you first met her, but over time, when she warmed up to you, her personality would shine through. And on the sports field, she was a talented athlete. After
If you think
graduating
this
from
is
high
bad,
school, Sydney
you should
decided
see
to
some of the
attend
blokes I beat up at the
University,
combat
which is
zone.
around an hour away from Akron. In her mind, this was far enough to give her space, but close enough to get back to family if she needed them.
What? I didn't get that part.
Due to her academic success in high school, Sydney was awarded, but Sydney decided to attend Mount Union University, which is around an hour away from Akron. In her mind, this was far enough to give her space, but close enough to get back to family if she needed them. Due to her academic success in high school, Sydney was awarded a scholarship by Mount Union, which she gladly accepted. Although it was bittersweet to say goodbye to her parents, she knew that in the back of her mind, they were
And why did she kill her mom then?
Now, Sydney's first semester of university started very, very successfully, and she was living with her best friend from high school named Laura. As their first semester progressed, Sydney found it rather easy to come out of her shell and meet lots of new people. She joined a sorority, met more people around campus, and gained newfound confidence. From the outside, it seemed that nothing could stop her from having an incredible 4 years at Mount Union, but unfortunately, that would soon fall apart. Over the course of the next 3 semesters, Sydney excelled in her academic work, passing each course with flying colours while making many new friends among her peers. And during the summer, she would move back home to rekindle a close relationship with her family, while simultaneously working all around Akron and part-time jobs. Now, bear with me and my explanation here, because it's very important.
Damn!
To today. When it
What
came
the
to
hell
details
happened
about
here?
Union, students could view their progress through an online portal. They could view syllabi, contact teachers, and plan study groups here too. Now, the parents also had access to this portal, where they could pay tuition, contact school administrators, and stay up to date with the college and its attendees. However, they wouldn't be able to automatically see their kids' grades. While Sydney's parents could theoretically submit grade requests if they wanted to, they knew that their daughter wasn't having any issues at school. She had done so well in high school that, in their minds, she was maintaining those high marks in college too. Now, Sydney hadn't alerted her parents to any issues either, and so when her father Steve logged onto the portal in January 2020 to pay her tuition fees, he didn't even bother to check her marks. Strangely enough, though, after entering his usual login details, he was then immediately kicked out to pay it. Now, Sydney hadn't alerted knew that their daughter wasn't having any issues at school. She had done so well in high school that, in their minds, she was maintaining those high marks at college too. Now, Sydney hadn't alerted her parents to any issues either, and so when her father Steve logged onto the portal in January 2020 to pay her tuition fees, he didn't even bother to check her marks. Strangely enough, though, after entering his usual login details, he was then immediately kicked out and unable to sign back in. After informing Sydney about the situation, she promised to contact the staff and get it fixed.
Enough of this slog. Just point us to the nearest watering hole.
2020, he still couldn't log in to pay tuition, and so, worried that something might be wrong with the system, he then contacted the administration team to see if they could help him out, making this call to the student relations team. Third, Steve believed that he could likely get this issue fixed with no problem whatsoever. However, what he ended up learning instead was totally unexpected.
Yeah.
The reason he couldn't pay tuition was because Sydney was no longer enrolled at university, and so now Steve was left wondering what on earth happened with his daughter.
Exactly. I would have been the same way.
Surely this must be one huge mistake.
Exactly.
I mean, what could possibly have happened to cause his daughter to leave so abruptly? After all, she had been an
Exactly.
academic star for so long throughout her education. As any concerned parent would, he inquired further, but was quickly shut down by the Mount Union administration. They claimed that the nature of that information was private to Sydney only, and if he wanted to find out more, well, he would have to talk to her directly first. Unknown to him, but Sydney had actually been on academic suspension since December of 2019. This happening after failing 3 out of her 4
You're gonna drag that junk
semester
around.
of her sophomore year. Now, while this sounded
Yeah.
serious, and I guess it was, it did not technically have to be the end of Sydney's college career. Her suspension was only 1 semester, and she could prove her worth again simply by re-enrolling the following semester if she wanted to. Now, when a student at Mount Union is academically suspended, they are sent a letter informing them of the suspension process and how to proceed. This letter is extremely important to the student, as it needs to be signed, dated, and then returned to the school in order to re-enroll. And while we know that Sydney did actually receive this letter, we aren't quite sure why she chose not to sign it and return it. I mean, it's not like she didn't want to be there either, because even after her suspension, she continued to live at college as if nothing had happened.
Exactly.
To make things even stranger, she even continued to go to class, attend sorority meetings, and hang out with friends during this time frame. However, no surprise, this was clearly against school rules, and so, soon enough, Sydney found herself facing the administrative board. At first, the university seemed to be rather understanding of her situation. It makes sense that a
wife.
Both amazed and bewildered by the news, Steve then hung up the phone.
I'm through.
Sydney's location. You see, the family shared a tracking app to keep each other safe and know each other's whereabouts. That is when he learned that Sydney was currently back at the family home. But before returning home, Steve called his wife Brenda to let her know about this very strange and concerning situation. No surprise, neither of them were too pleased. I mean, to put things blunt, their daughter had basically failed out of college and then lied about the situation for several weeks. How do you feel if your kid did that to you? Instead of getting overly upset, Steve asked Brenda to meet him at home after she finished her work. In the meantime, he would try to understand Sydney's side of the story. And so, leaving his own phone at the office so Sydney wouldn't see him coming, he then returned back home in his car, arriving shortly after 11:30. When confronted, Sydney quickly broke down. She told her father that all of her friends seemed to have it all figured out, that they were working towards degrees that mattered, had tangible goals, and were actively pushing towards their dreams. But sadly, Sydney no longer felt that way anymore, and when comparing herself to the people around her, she felt like a failure. Self-esteem can be a challenging thing to work through. It is often said that while we are busy doubting ourselves, others around us are enamored or even intimidated by our full potential. And sometimes, in those moments of self-doubt, you must focus on the perspective of those who love you and not your own. And Steve understood that and knew how bright his daughter really was. He reassured her that if she put a little bit of effort in with him, they could help her get back on the right path together. Feeling better about the situation, Steve told his daughter to sit tight and talk to her mother when she returned home. But as for himself, he needed to go back to the office. Back at work, Steve received a text message from Brenda. She had left work early to get back home, arriving around 12:15 p.m. 26 minutes later, at 12:41 p.m., Steve responded with, "What did you discuss with Sydney?" Sadly, he would never receive a message back. Only 10 minutes later, Steve received a phone call from one of his friends, that being a detective from the local police department. He called Steve to ask if everything was okay, because apparently he had heard that officers had just been dispatched to the Powell residence. Something was wrong. What Steve and the police didn't realize is that at the time Brenda was walking into the family home to speak to her daughter, she was actually on the phone to student relations. And while Union staff were talking to Brenda, they suddenly heard a loud argument and some very concerning sounds. A series of screams.
I don't ask for much. Just need a
followed by
full
several
bottle and
thuds
some bones to
and a
break
loud
it.
crashing sound. And then all of a sudden, the phone line went dead. Concerned for Brenda's safety, the Mount Union staff immediately called 911. They then tried to call Brenda back numerous times, and after several attempts, they finally made their way through. But if the person on the line
Going up.
it was someone impersonating her. Staff knew that this was
Floor.
and after calling her out and telling her that the authorities were on the way,
Floor.
Sydney abruptly hung up the phone. Steve, who was
Going
at the top
up.
with the situation, was now beginning to panic. He had just
Floor.
so what possibly could have happened in the hour he was away? Frantically calling both his wife and his daughter, it took multiple phone calls before Sydney finally answered. She sounded terrified and claimed that someone had broken into their house. When Kenneth and the other officers arrived on the scene at 1900 block of Scudder Drive, it was a complete disaster. The house was in total disarray. Multiple windows were broken, and blood could be found everywhere. Sydney was found frantically crying outside on the driveway. The young woman appeared to be completely distraught. Was clawing at the asphalt enough to make her fingernails pull back and bleed. Officers pulled her away to her crying. The young woman. The house was in total disarray. Multiple windows were broken, and blood could be found everywhere. Sydney was found frantically crying outside on the driveway. The young woman appeared to be completely distraught and was clawing at the asphalt enough to make her fingernails pull back and bleed. Officers pulled her away to a quieter place to calm her down, and once she was able to calm down enough, she told them what had allegedly happened. Sydney claimed that while she was having a conversation with her mother about her school grades, an armed stranger suddenly broke into the property. Brenda then told Sydney to run and get help, But when she returned, she found her mother lifeless on the ground. Apparently, she had been stabbed multiple times and was bleeding out. Paramedics rushed Brenda to the hospital. They confirmed that she'd been stabbed more than 36 times, and that, furthermore, she'd experienced blunt force trauma to the back of her head. Sadly, the extent of her injuries was all too much for her, and soon after arriving at the hospital, she was pronounced dead. Meanwhile, at the crime scene, officers were still trying to piece together what exactly happened. The house was absolutely trashed.
What's up?
And there was an obvious sign of struggle. Furniture was flipped over and smashed, and there were bloodstains in multiple rooms. 皆さん、まだ洋服を定価で買ってるんですか？そんなもったいないこと、今すぐやめてください。実は洋服を激安で買う方法があるんですよ。例えばこのグッチのスーツは定価が20万以上するんですけど、14500円で買い取ったんですよね。世の中の人たちって普通にハイブランドとかの商品を定価で買ってるんですけど、それってめちゃくちゃもったいないことしてるんですよ。さっき僕が話したように安く買う方法を知っておくだけで人生何倍もお得に生きることができますからね。本当に知ってるか知らないかだけ。でももしかしたらあなたは
Okay,
To investigators, the story that Sydney was feeding them was becoming increasingly far-fetched and suspicious. For one, she had blood all over her hands, and that's when they noticed that she had wounds on her face, torso, and arms. In addition to this, the officers were also quick to note that most of the windows seemed to be broken from the inside rather than the outside. Of course, therefore suggesting that this was a staged break-in. None of this was making any sense. It didn't take long for them to conclude that Sydney was the most likely person behind the attack, and those doubts were only further perpetuated when Brenda's phone calls revealed to the authorities.
Hey.
The morbid conclusion would be sure to rip the family in half for a second time.
Point out what you
the very
need and I'll
same
get
day.
right on.
Both Steve and Andrew were only just getting to grips with the loss of their mother and wife, and now they would face losing Sydney in an entirely different way. So, what really happened inside that house? Did Sydney methodically kill her mother in cold blood? Or did she snap in a state of psychosis? On April the 6th, Sydney Powell was officially indicted on charges of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence. On April the 17th, after pleading not guilty, the judge granted her a bond of $25,000 with maximum pretrial supervision alongside a mental health evaluation. Sydney was sent to reside with her grandparents under their very close watch, with daily checkups from the police to make sure that she was behaving. After evaluation by a medical professional,
Hey, Carla.
Sydney's
You
attorney
again.
changed her plea to not
Here to
guilty
trade?
for reason of insanity. This set
Sure.
back the trial
Let's
quite
take a look.
significantly.
Always
The
happy to
second
make a
medical
sale.
examination was requested by the Summit County prosecution. In order to proceed with the trial, it needed to be very clear whether Sydney had premeditated the attack or was going through a mental break when she killed her mother. Despite the terrible murder, Sydney's family members still supported her before the legal proceedings began. Speaking during pre-trial, Steve said, "I don't know why we're doing this. This isn't what anyone wants here. I don't know how I can handle it. I'm just trying to keep my family together." And Sydney's maternal grandmother, Betsy Brown, also said, "All of this is opening things we hoped to put behind us." According to Steve, the Powell family was in full belief that their daughter was acting out of her mind during the killing, and now that she was on medication and supervised, she was back to her usual self and appeared to no longer be a danger to society. Despite their pleas, her 10-day trial would begin on September the 7th, 2023. Many witnesses were called to testify, including one of Sydney's teachers, the staff that spoke to Brenda over the phone on the day that she died, and numerous mental health experts. Day one of her trial included both sides making their case. Sydney's defense claimed that she was dealing with undiagnosed schizophrenia and was out of control in a psychotic break when she killed her mother, hence justifying her plea of insanity. They would also point out the lack of motive and the sheer brutality being entirely out of character for her. In short, this was simply not something Sydney would do in a sane state of mind. But on the other hand, the prosecution
Stick to the
claimed that
roads,
Sydney was
and you got a better
utterly
chance of
unaware of what
surviving.
she was doing, trying to cover up the crime scene and trying to impersonate
The only way you get old in this job is assume everyone's out to kill you.
trying to mislead the investigation. Sydney's father took to the stand and painstakingly went through the events of the day that led up to the murder. Friends and co-workers of Brenda also spoke about the shocking murder and how, to their knowledge, the mother and daughter had a very close relationship leading up to the death. Mount Union officials testified that they heard repeated thuds and screaming while they were speaking with Brenda Powell, which tragically was likely the very moment that she was being attacked. Frazier testified that the call ended around 1.5 minutes after the ruckus. He tried calling back, and then, on his third attempt, Sydney answered the phone, pretending to be her mother. Sydney's roommate and best friend Lauren also testified at her trial. She claimed that leading up to the murder, there seemed to be nothing wrong with Sydney, and that furthermore, there was no bad blood between her and her mother. She also testified that she saw Sydney only one day before the murder on March the 2nd at a bachelor's party, and apparently Sydney seemed to be her usual bubbly self. The following 5 days of Sydney's trial were devoted to her state of mind on the day of her mother's murder, with several psychologists giving their own opinions as to what may have happened. Dr. Swale testified that Sydney was out of her mind at the time, and further diagnosed her with bipolar-type schizoaffective disorder and being acutely psychotic. And Dr. Reardon, who also evaluated her in the year 2021, agreed that she had severe mental
Looking for a meal? See Maria. She runs Sunshine Diner.
If you want a good meal, see Maria at the cafeteria. She'll hook you up.
sort of psychotic break. On the other end of the spectrum, clinical psychologist Dr. Sylvia
The work never ends in Vault 81.
that Sydney was malingering or exaggerating her mental illness to escape responsibility. She explained that the best source of information for an insanity evaluation is what was said and felt at the time of the incident, and that
Never had an incident on my watch, and I don't want to start today.
schizophrenia. She also noted that Sydney reported that she was experiencing symptoms at the age of 11, which would make her case.
Don't make me regret letting you in here.
Interesting fact, but women typically experience symptoms of schizophrenia for the first time from their mid to late 20s, making Sydney Powell's case extraordinarily unusual if it was true. Both sides gave very compelling arguments, but on September the 20th, 2023, and after deliberating for 9 hours and 23 minutes, the verdict was finally in. The jury unanimously found 23-year-old Sydney Powell to be guilty on account of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence.
Verdict form number 1 as to count 1 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of murder as charged in count 1. Verdict form number 2 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of murder as charged in count 2. Verdict form number 3 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of felonious assault as charged in count 3. And finally,
Seeds. I need more
verdict form number
seeds.
4 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of tampering with evidence as charged
How
in
can
count
something this beautiful exist in such a fucked up world?
Later, Sydney appeared in court for the final time for her sentencing. In the end, for the murder of her mother,
Tired of working.
she was given an
Tired of this
indefinite
world.
term of 15 years to life in prison.
Account 1 man I sentence you to an indefinite sentence of
The end.
assault, murder as charged, murder as verdict form number.
The verdict was finally in. The jury.
We got a barber here if you need it.
23-year-old
I'd say you
Sydney
do.
Powell
Need to check the water pumps again.
Little
funny.
Maybe he can check it out.
Verdict form number 1 as to count 1.
Back again?
The jury in this case
We'll
being
be watching.
impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty
Yes?
of the offense
Sorry
of
about the
murder
making.
as charged in count 1.
It never ends
Verdict
these
form
days.
number 2 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of murder as charged in count 2. Verdict form number 3 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of felonious assault as charged in count 3. And finally, verdict form number 4 reads, we the jury in this case being duly impaneled, sworn, and affirmed, do hereby find the defendant Sydney Powell guilty of the offense of tampering with evidence as charged in count 4.
On September the 28th, 1 week later, Sydney appeared in court for the final time for her sentencing. In the end, for the murder of her mother, she was given an indefinite term, 15 years to life in prison.
On count 1, ma'am, I sentence you to an indefinite sentence of 15 years to life in the Ohio Department of Corrections. On count 4 of the indictment, I sentence you to 3 years in the Ohio Department of Corrections. Those two sentences to be run concurrent with and not consecutive to each other.
Just a random side note, but many people who followed this trial online were quite outraged at Sydney's family, who provided continuous support to her throughout her trial. Most of Sydney's family believed that she was not in her right mind at the time of murdering her mother, and her father still believes that she should be free from the judicial system. Honestly, it is quite hard to form an opinion here, because on one side, Sydney's family definitely know her best, but on the other, they are quite clearly biased. Regardless of her mental state, murder is still murder, and in my opinion, she should still face the consequences of her actions. Which, quite clearly, she is now, and Sydney will spend many years of her life behind bars. Hopefully,
seems awfully quiet around here.
What you think about this one, because this case was not quite clear-cut. Do you think Sydney was experiencing psychosis, or do you think this was just a fit of rage? Let me know in the comments below, folks, and I think I'm going to wrap this one up here today. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here. It means the world to me. Before I go, though, if you want to get early access to my videos, or just support the channel, then please check out my Patreon. Alternatively, check out my social media, most notably my Instagram. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it today, folks. Thank you again so much for watching. I honestly really do appreciate you being here. It means the world to me. Anyway, see you again very soon for another one. Until the moment arrives, though,
You're gonna drag that junk around.
As always, stay safe. Thank you. Goodbye.
I'm curious what the comments say about her. Okay, I'll move on. That was very sad. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 more. Let's do this one.
After Julie Dart disappeared from her hometown in England, strange letters with aggressive demands began to appear at her family's residence. Sadly, nothing could be done to save her, and only a few days later, she was found dead. But when the same pattern emerged with another woman only 6 months later, the authorities knew that they were up against the clock to save Stephanie Slater. A wild goose chase followed, thrusting some unexpected heroes down dark and dangerous paths. But how would all of this end? Who was behind these venomous kidnappings? And would Stephanie ever make it out alive? Welcome or welcome back to Coffee House Crime.
There's gonna be a lot of more
My name
rats,
is
so
Adrian,
be
and
prepared.
today we're looking at a case so twisted and deceitful that it shocked the UK to its very core. Now this story involves a range of pretty deplorable behaviour. We have kidnap, ransom, murder, and even trained around us. So get ready for that one. I'd like to remind you that I cover a range of true crime and
Oh shit.
that's the kind of thing that we suddenly have to. And before we this story today,
Fucking crazy.
personally, I spend so much of my day reading, writing, and researching these cases that by the evening, I don't want to ever look at a screen again. Honestly, you have no idea how much time goes into making these stories. And to add to that, if I'm working out, walking, or simply cooking, then consuming content with my eyes can be rather tricky. Which is why I rely on the sponsor of today's video, Audible, for my entertainment. Audible is unbeatable for thrilling audio entertainment, and is packed with the best listens in the mystery and thriller genre. If you're looking for a fast-paced fast-paced crime thriller packed full of adrenaline, then The Coldest Case by James Patterson is an excellent listen. The twist at the end left me speechless, and of course, listening to Aaron Paul's voice was an absolute treat. This is only one of many extraordinarily special titles on Audible, which has a must-hear collection of the latest and greatest in the thriller genre. New members can get a free trial and full access to a growing selection of included audiobooks, full of originals and podcasts. You can also download included titles all you want. Go to Audible.com.
Nothing's more satisfying than a smoking gun and a pocket full of cats.
500 for a free trial. Thank you, Audible. Now let's get straight back to our video. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Michael Sands. Today, I'm taking you to the middle of the United Kingdom and to an English region known as the Midlands. Now, having lived here for a while myself, I'm rather familiar with the area. From the castles of Warwickshire to the cities of Leicester and Nottingham, it isn't a bad place to be at all. But I do admit that it's not the most exciting either. If you ever find yourself in the Midlands, I'd say it's worth checking out Leamington Spa, a small city with beautiful architectural marvels.
Shit.
Birmingham doesn't have the most outstanding reputation, and many of its residents are vocal about its many glaring issues. It's also known as the
Whoa, whoa. You hear that?
Deadly sport is in progress. Citizens
Don't fucking get me.
Over here!
the area.
Faster! Shite! Shite! I was just getting warmed up.
1973, Julie had a rather difficult upbringing and often found herself in trouble.
Leave that junk
At a
behind.
very young age. This was typically through spending money that she'd never had, and often getting herself into large sums of debt. And moving into the year 1991, she yet again found herself to be down on her luck. Barely an adult.
Fine.
with
Nice.
no career, she
You're just
was
wasting
faced with the
space.
heartbreaking decision to work the streets of Leeds, taking to the red light district in Chapeltown to try and salvage her ever-growing debt. At the time, her family had no idea what was going on. Instead, Julie would tell them she was working long hours at the hospital. Her family were none the wiser, and unfortunately, it would only become evident that things were not as they seemed in mid-July 1991. That realization came in the worst way possible. Julie had suddenly disappeared, and although it was rather typical for her to be silent for a day or two, her family started to worry after several days. Things took an evil turn on July the 12th. Her boyfriend Dominic received a strange letter from the post, and apparently it was written by Julie. Within this letter, she wrote that she'd been kidnapped and now feared for her life. And although she was being offered food, she hadn't eaten for multiple days. She ended the letter by saying that he had until Monday to alert her mother and the authorities, and that her abductor was asking for £140,000. In today's terms, that's £300,000 or $375,000. The letter read, "Hello Dominic, help me please. I've been kidnapped. I'm being held as a personal security until next Monday night. Please go and tell my mum straight away. Love you so much. Mum, phone the police straight away and tell me. I haven't eaten anything, but I have been offered food. Feeling a bit sick, and I'm still drinking 2 cups of tea per day. Help me." Members of Julie's family were able to confirm that the handwriting was in fact hers, but something seemed off about it. It seemed to be messy and haphazard. Soon after, the authorities started analysing it for any clues they could find, and that is when another letter came through. This one indicated a drop-off point for the ransom money. The letter requested that they deliver it to New Street Station in Birmingham, about miles away from home. The letter further demanded that they wait for a phone call at the payphone on platform 9. The authorities complied with this request, and when the payphone rang at precisely 7 p.m., Wrapped in this bundle of sheets was Julie's lifeless body. She was bound with duct tape.
Yes.
And suffered blunt force trauma to the head. Forensics determined that she'd been dead for roughly 4 or 5 days already, meaning that at the time of the negotiations, she had already been murdered. The news was sure to leave her family devastated, and to compound the pain and grief at her loss, they had no idea who murdered Julie. At this point, it wasn't clear whether her abductor had any intention of handing her over alive or dead, and while his motives would eventually come to light, it currently wasn't obvious. The council
Something's ghosting us.
Damn it! That's blood on me boots.
And its author was now far more demanding. Once again, he was demanding money from the authorities, threatening that if they failed to comply to his actions, then many more prostitutes would die. The letter went on to say that Julie had died from 3 blows to the head before being strangled. And with such dreadful accuracy, it was sure that this letter was linked to her killer. Back then, it was typical for the police to cooperate with a killer via personal ad spaces in local newspapers. In this instance, the officers did this to confirm that they would pay him, and shortly after doing so, the authorities received yet another letter. This cat and mouse chase would go on for several months, with Julie's killer even teasing the authorities by sending in handwritten letters over time. Despite their best efforts, detectives were still none the wiser in finding their suspect, and this would apply tremendous pressure on them too. With fresh threats against other women being persistent through these letters, it meant that no one in the Midlands was safe. Their devious pen pal even threatened to derail a passenger train if they didn't send him the money. Undoubtedly, he seemed to enjoy the power of toying with the police. Our story would develop yet again in January.
We'd move faster if you kept your eyes on the road and off me arse.
Estate agents. They had called the authorities to report that after one of their agents had left to show someone a property, she never returned. The home was located on Turnberry Road, which can be found north of Birmingham. Stephanie Slater, who was born and raised in Birmingham, was 25 years old at the time and still lived with her parents. At the time, she had a steady relationship with her boyfriend, and the two had recently booked a holiday to the Isle of Wight, which is one of Stephanie's favourite places. Hoping to pay off the holiday, she had picked this job up only a few weeks prior. Despite her recent start, she was already known to be a pleasant, reliable, and punctual worker, which of course made her sudden disappearance that much more concerning to her manager. And then, just a few hours later, her manager received a tip at the front door. Playing the tape immediately, he heard Stephanie's voice on the other end of the recorder. Within this tape, she said, "This is Stephanie Slater. The time was 11:45. I assure you I'm okay and unharmed, and providing these instructions are carried out, I will be released on Friday the 31st of January.
When it's your video so quick, go to artlist.io and get the best music and sound effects for you.
Her manager informed the authorities immediately, who instantly became aware that Stephanie's disappearance was likely linked to the same man who murdered Julie. Despite this knowledge, they had very little evidence to work with. I mean, this was 1992 after all. DNA and forensic methods were still very primitive back then, and they had to rely on more traditional ways to get by. Police began their search of the property, and what they found wasn't good. Blood was present on the bathroom walls, which was later confirmed to belong to Stephanie. If the authorities had any chance to get Stephanie back home alive, then they knew that they had to act fast. After all, Julie's killer had already proven himself to be rather impatient. The videotape demanded that her supervisor and manager, Kevin Watts, would be the one to drop the money off for her. Thankfully, he was willing to comply. On January 27, 1992, Kevin was instructed to travel north to Glossop train station and then asked to follow various clues. This included meeting a planted woman at the train station, various phone calls scattered through public phone boxes, and a long drive down a dark road, eventually leading him to a secluded bridge in the fog. And then, while under the cover of darkness, Kevin found a
Sweet.
front of the tray, which had been placed on the wall of the
Hope what you're doing there is gonna help.
He was instructed to drop the money into it, and then moments later, the string was pulled and it disappeared into the fog of the eventually leading train station.
Powering up. Protectron on duty. Attention. Interfering with a law enforcement robot is a felony. Attention. Interfering with a law enforcement robot is a felony.
Although he was in constant contact with the authorities and had even been tailed by dozens of officers, he slipped off the edge of the bridge and then into darkness. And just like that, her kidnapper was once again lost to the night. Stephanie's abductor remained silent that evening, leaving her family on the edge of their seats in desperate hope that she may be released. And that is when, only a few hours later, there was a knock at the front door. Undercover officers opened the door to a dazed yet alive Stephanie Slater. Despite their grave concerns, her kidnapper had remained true to his word. And although she appeared to be in an agitated frame of mind, she was otherwise relatively healthy. An interview with officers would reveal some stark details. According to Stephanie, her abductor was a man in his 40s who used a fake name to visit the property. While showing her around the home, she then walked into the bathroom. That was when he hit her over the head with a hammer, found and blindfolded her, and then took her to his car. The next thing Stephanie knew, she found herself in what she can only describe as a damp cellar. And precisely the sort of place
You're gonna pay! You lose!
Stephanie was left inside of this confined area. She was only allowed out to be given life-sustaining
And order has prevailed.
Despite these terrible conditions, Stephanie made use of her kind and calming nature to appeal to her assailants, smiling, joking, and even laughing back. Sadly, the next thing, while showing her an interview with officers would reveal some stark details. According to Stephanie, her abductor was a man in his 40s who used a fake name to visit the property. While showing her around the home, she then walked into the bathroom. That was when he hit her over the head with a hammer, found and blindfolded her, and then took her to his car. The next thing Stephanie knew, she found herself in what she can only describe as a damp cellar. The room was dark, musky, and cold. Precisely the sort of place you'd expect to be murdered. Sadly, she was then asked to strip before being assaulted by her assailants. After that, she was placed inside a wooden coffin, which was then placed inside a capsized bin. During her time of imprisonment, Stephanie was left inside of this confined area. She was only allowed out to be given life-sustaining food, was kept naked, and was unable to bathe. Now, despite these terrible conditions, Stephanie made use of her kind and calming nature to appeal to her assailants, smiling, joking, and even laughing a few times to humanize herself. This sort of clever manipulation likely made her more impressionable to her assailants, helping him develop feelings and helping her avoid her murder. Stephanie recorded voice notes, wrote letters, and gave in to whatever demands he wanted from her, all while being told that as long as she and her people outside complied, she would eventually be set free. It would seem that her brave efforts to comply with the man would eventually pay off. Even after receiving the ransom money, Stephanie seemed to comply to her monster, and eventually, as promised, she was set free, despite this being a significant risk to her kidnapper. Only 12 hours after her release, Stephanie was asked to make a public announcement. She appeared to be dazed, drugged, and distressed, and following her statement, it seemed that her kidnapper had become quite nervous about the situation. Unknown to him at the time, but he was still out of sight from detectives. But after letting his nerves get the better of him, this wouldn't last for long. In response to the public announcements, he called her employer once more to threaten them. However, little did he know that a recording device had been implanted into the landline, and that
Leave that joke behind. You're just wasting space.
out of his mouth was recorded for the rest of the world to hear. After exhausting all other avenues, the authorities decided to use this voice recording against
making the perverts look like saints.
That Stephanie had orchestrated it. And surprisingly, one of those watching this episode was haunted to recognize his voice as no one other than her ex-husband, Michael Sams. At the time, this man was 41 years old and living in Sutton-on-Trent in Nottinghamshire. Michael was previously in the army, but now was a service engineer who repaired central heating systems. And according to his ex-wife, she was not surprised by his actions either. Apparently, he had already tried to extort money illegally, with his first crime in 1978 when he stole a car to commit insurance fraud. While in prison for this, he was diagnosed with cancer, which unfortunately...
I'm sure this whole thing is overblown and Austin will be running around tomorrow. Overblown or not, we have to do what we can for Austin. I just don't know what I can do. Neither do I, Priscilla. Why him? He's just a boy. He's going to be just fine. You'll see.
While in prison for this, he was diagnosed with cancer, which unfortunately led to the amputation of his leg. It turns out that our kidnapper was actually physically disabled, making his story of being a kidnapper a little more unusual. Unfortunately, his time in prison would not deter him from carrying on a life of extortion. He would often threaten train companies into railing the passenger trains, and even threatened to poison food in local supermarkets if they didn't give in to his demands. Michael had already been married twice, had 2 children, and now lived with his third wife in a shared cottage. And after being identified as a perfect fit for the suspect, he was swiftly arrested on charges of the murder of Julie Dart and the abduction of Stephanie Slater. Moving forward, it didn't take long for Stephanie to positively identify him as her assailant. And it's here that the true horrors of Michael Sams finally came to light. After his identification, the authorities made their way to his property, and after looking in the back garden, there they found an old building called his workshop. It was here that they witnessed a dark, messy, damp room, which was soon confirmed to be the same location that Stephanie had been held in for 8 long days. It was later revealed that during this time frame, he even attached electrodes to her and threatened to electrocute her if she escaped. No surprise, he was also accused of abducting and murdering Julie Dart. And although he initially denied these allegations, forensics would later confirm that she had been in the exact same room. Clothing found over her body contained yellow fibers that positively matched the carpet found in his workshop, meaning that there was next to no doubt that he was in fact her.
Well, this is gonna be a joy for you. You get to nag me and I can't go anywhere.
Oh, real nice, Holt. Make this about you. Don't you think about anyone other than yourself? Your daughter could get sick like Austin, and you're whining about spending time with your family?
Wait all day for you to show yourself.
You don't have to hide away in here.
You're so busy, Holt. You have so much to do. Please, explain to Erin why your needs are more important than her safety.
Just never mind.
Easy.
Idiot.
Okay, who's first? Loved wiping the floor with you.
Okay, so
Hold up. You hear that?
You You and your staff are to make sure every resident remains under stringent medical observation.
Understood. But Overseer...
Must be getting
No
jumpy.
buts. This is for the good of the Vault. We can't
If I
risk this
find you,
pathogen
you're
spreading
gonna
back to
regret
Forsyth.
Yes.
How is Austin doing?
Not good. The infection has progressed quite rapidly. We need a way to stop it.
Let's have that outsider.
We've gotta do
Gets us
this
secure.
more often. Playtime!
Has prevailed.
I don't care. Come on.
Leave that joke behind. You're just wasting space.
This was substantiated by the fact that she had been murdered before any contact with the outside world. Michael had never intended to release her. He was merely testing the waters. Although Michael continued to deny these claims, forensic evidence would suggest otherwise. Thankfully, all of his efforts were being in vain.
Well, there's a smell I'm never gonna forget.
Kidnapping Stephanie Slater and murdering Julie Dart. As a result, he was given a life sentence. He was further tried for his crimes of blackmail and extortion, including 4 separate charges against British Rail and several against the police. To be honest though, rail prices in the UK are literally daylight robbery, so I don't think anyone cares about those charges. Nevertheless, he was found guilty of all 4 instances of blackmail, given an additional 10 years for each. At the age of 42, Michael knew that he had next to no chance of experiencing life again as a free man. And so, just 3 days after his verdict, he decided to come clean and confess Julie's murder. He requested to see the senior investigating police officer, where he then went into graphic detail about the crime. He further claimed that his confession was motivated by sparing Julie's mother from any more heartbreak. He said, "I've been going over it and thinking it's only fair that she knows I did it. I mean, I obviously did do it. What can I tell her? I do feel sorry for her, yes." Despite his confession,
Hey, this is my favorite part of the job.
just 2 years later, in 1995, he attacked a female parole officer with a metal spike, adding 8 years to his sentence. Even after being condemned to a cell, Michael tried to con money out of the judicial system. He routinely complained that his human rights were violated, and would often whine about being put into solitary confinement. I mean, last time I checked, he'd be put into prison mates, not the Carlton. However, he would be successful one time, and would, even after being condemned to a cell, just 2 years later, in 1995, he attacked a female parole officer with a metal spike, adding 8 years to his sentence. Even after being condemned to a cell, Michael tried to con money out of the judicial system. He routinely complained that his human rights were being violated, and would often whine about being put into solitary confinement. I mean, last time I checked, he was put into prison mates, not the Carlton. However, he would be successful one time, as officers would lose his artificial leg during one of his transfers. As a result, he was awarded £4,000 compensation. This, of course, sparking public outrage. With no minimum term at his trial, Michael has repeatedly applied for parole, with his most recent rejection being Despite this, and even to this day, he remains behind bars as one of the UK's oldest and longest serving prisoners. And with him now 82 years old, things are not looking promising for him. Although Stephanie survived her encounter with Michael, her life was riddled with post-traumatic stress that followed. In 1993, she moved to the Isle of Wight to retreat away from it all. Though sadly, her trauma never left her. No longer being able to return to work as an estate agent, she went on to help the authorities in dealing with kidnapped survivors and directly help victims recover from their experiences. Sadly, after a long battle with cancer, Stephanie Slater passed away at the age of 50 in August 2017. She is said to have never fully gotten over the horrors that she faced, and it's devastating to learn that she was never given the time to recover fully. folks, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. Until the moment arrives, though, remember to look after yourself, look after each other, and of course, stay safe. Thank you. Bye.
Oh. He killed, what, 3 people? Fucking guy. Fucking people, man. I don't understand. Could never take a life, man. Japanese killers. I think it's a compilation, honestly. Those 2 I'll watch another time. Let's go with this one.
Following a strange and unexplained death in Oxford, creepy surveillance footage of a hooded figure began to appear all over the city. Jorge's death was initially
Feeling nostalgic or something?
but 2 years
Could always get some
later,
cash for that, I
the
suppose.
other side of the world triggered a manhunt for a seriously sick and twisted individual. And the more detectives looked into this case, the more horrific it became. So, who is Scarlet Blake? Why is she referred to as the so-called cat killer? And how is she related to Jorge's untimely murder? Welcome back to Coffee House Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today I'm taking you to Oxford to look at one of the most encounters. You know,
I'm gonna rip your limbs off!
The fuck?
Is that all you've got?
So make sure you have your comforts with you. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more stories like this every single week. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Scarlet Blake.
I don't get it. Go back.
Following a strange and unexplained death in Oxford, creepy surveillance footage of a hooded figure began to appear all over the city. Jorge's death was initially deemed to be a tragic accident, but 2 years later, a tip from the other side of the world triggered a manhunt for a seriously sick and twisted individual. And the more detectives tucked into this case, the more horrific it became. So, who is Scarlet Blake? Why is she referred to as the so-called cat killer? And how is she related to Jorge's untimely murder? Welcome back to Coffee House Crime, folks. My name is Adrian. Today, I'm taking you to Oxford to look at one of the most angering stories that I've ever encountered. You know, every once in a while, a story like this comes up, and it angers you so much that it feels personal. This one will outrage you until the very end, so make sure you have your comforts with you. Please consider subscribing if you want to see more stories like this every single week. And now, with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of Scarlet Blake. Now here's a place I know extraordinarily well. Welcome to Oxford, folks. Nestled in southern England's serene countryside, Oxford shines as a hub of English intellect and culture. Its well-known university, which was founded in the 12th century, epitomizes academic excellence. Wandering its historic streets, you will be mesmerized by timeless architecture and iconic college spires. But Oxford isn't just about wandering its historic street. Besides, Oxford shines as a hub of English intellect and culture. Its well-known university, which was founded in the 12th century, resides. Now here's a place I know extraordinarily well. Welcome to Oxford, folks. Nestled in southern England's serene countryside, Oxford shines as a hub of English intellect and culture. Its well-known university, which was founded in the 12th century, epitomizes academic excellence. Wandering its historic streets, you will be mesmerized by timeless architecture and iconic college spires. But Oxford isn't just about its traditional academia, as the city is also alive with artistic vibrancy. Its many theatres, galleries, and museums are rich with history, all of which are surrounded by lovely markets, cozy pubs, and dozens of quaint
what you need?
shops. With a rich history, culture, and so many things to see, it is no wonder
Think you can unlock that?
Will do. My childhood home. However, that is not to say that it is free from disaster. And sure enough, in the year 2021,
Got it.
death became the talk of the town. At 12:15 p.m. on July 26, 2021, emergency services were dispatched to Pastor's Pleasure Bathing Place found along the River Sherwell. Several calls had been made to report a body floating in the water, and those observing the situation were certain that, whoever it was, they were dead. The local area was locked down as soon as officers arrived, and soon after this, the body was confirmed to belong to a man in his 20s or 30s. The cause of his death was initially unknown and unexplained, meaning that officers were not sure if this was accidental or if it were a homicide. Soon enough, detectives were able to locate various clues which indicated that foul play may have been involved. However, for now, they weren't quite certain. But soon after these initial findings, that is when they found this surveillance image. Investigating officers believed that, due to their proximity at the time of this man's death, they may have seen him shortly before he died. But with no idea who this person could be, they released the image to the public for help. So, now we have a body appearing in a public place in downtown Oxford, and a surveillance image of a hooded figure taken shortly before his death. And so the authorities had several big questions that really needed to be answered here. Who were these two people? How did that body end up in the river? And who was the poor guy? As always, these things unfortunately take quite a lot of time to develop, but when the police were able to determine that that body his next notified with so began their long road to recovery, and many questions of what happened.
It's a joke. This has to be a joke. Okay, that was some bullshit.
Damn, that shit is fucking big. That shit's not gonna work. Gotta use something else.
Now you're starting to piss me off.
This unfortunate soul was a 30-year-old man from Spain named Jorge Martin Carino. Born in Las Palmas de Gran Canaria, he migrated to the UK with his girlfriend in 2019, and although they separated soon after, they remained good friends. Now, Jorge was an engineer by trade and had studied electrical engineering at university, and at the time of his death, he was working at one of Oxford's local BMW production plants. In fact, on the evening before he died, he had been drinking with colleagues before being separated from the
Leave that joke behind. You're just wasting space.
His family described him as distinguished by his incredible affection, friendliness, and ability to give himself entirely to others. And his innate curiosity and creativity drove him to tirelessly explore, learn, and experiment. Jorge loved music, photography, reading, and sports. And he also played the guitar and often attended art museums with his friends. And being a triplet, he is left behind two identical brothers in a large grieving family. So, now they had a face and a name to the body, they could finally take a look at what precisely happened to him on the night that he died. And of course, they would begin on surveillance footage, cell phone data, and witness reports. The ominously sad thing is that, not even a few hours before he died, one of his friends sent him a message to say that Oxford is a dangerous place, and followed up by sending an article of an attempted murder. Now, growing up in Oxfordshire, I can attest that the countryside is a very peaceful place to be. But the city, perhaps not so much. Actually, when I was around 16 years old, my cousins and I were walking through the city when one of them was hit in the face with a brick by a bunch of other kids. So, yeah, it can be pretty rough. Anyway, this is where the story starts to show subtle signs of foul play. Because as investigators looked deeper and deeper into the case, they realized that Jorge was not alone in his final hours. In fact, plenty of surveillance cameras captured him with this mysterious figure. More than a dozen cameras, in fact. Jorge and this stranger were documented from very surveillance camera in particular is a mere few hundred feet away from the River Sherwell, and more specifically, the exact area where Jorge's body was found. The discovery of this footage, plus the realization that this stranger was with him a mere meters away from where he was found, was highly suspicious to officers. Which is great, by the way. The ran into Mary's at 3. Our first dropping as follows, and about all as unanswered. After this, further searches are then made for his home address. At 3:33 a.m., a surveillance call is on. At 2 a.m., he then left the Cowan Creek and could be seen saying goodbye to his friends at 2:09. For the next hour, he remained in and around Oxford with other friends and, eventually, himself. At 3:16 a.m., Jorge is seen leaning against a wall in Worcester Street while he searches for his address on his phone. And then, 4 minutes later, he is caught by another camera in Gloucester Green. He then tries to call a friend on his phone, but unfortunately, the call is unanswered. After this, further searches are then made for his home address. At 3:33 a.m., a surveillance camera captures Jorge accidentally dropping his wallet. And about 58 seconds later, he then walks back past it in the opposite direction. The man appears to be lost and is still using his phone to search for his address. Meanwhile, our first surveillance camera captures the unknown assailant walking past South Lodge.
Sure. Just keep your shirt on.
At 3:59 a.m., the unknown individual is then seen walking down Cat Street. Eventually, they return into Mary's Passage just seconds later. And then, at precisely 4 a.m., our two characters finally cross paths. After the unknown person approaches Jorge, who is already down on the ground, they then sit down and chat for approximately 12 minutes before setting off together. Another camera then captures the two of them on Cat Street. At the time, it is unknown what their mutual intentions were, but Jorge had seemingly agreed to walk with this stranger. They are then seen walking together.
This is where I was lost.
At 3:59 a.m., the unknown individual is then seen walking down Cat Street. Eventually, they then turn into Mary's Passage just seconds later. And then...
Hold up. I feel like there's something up there. Ah, yeah, this is where they're all dead. I remember this. Fucking creepy. But she can be my new friend. I like her. My French friend. My French friend robot. Did anyone say anything? I've been playing for an hour and a half long.
Precisely 4 a.m., our two characters finally cross paths. After the unknown person approaches Jorge, who is already down on the ground, they then sit down and chat for approximately 12 minutes before setting off together. Another camera then captures the two of them on Cat Street. At the time, it is unknown.
Why bother with that? You open in a museum or something?
But Jorge had seemingly agreed to walk with this stranger. They are then seen walking together on South Parks Road and eventually at South Lodge Park. Now, this surveillance camera in particular is a mere few hundred feet away from the River Sherwell, and more specifically, the exact area where Jorge's body was found.
Shouldn't disturb a grave, but it's not like they're gonna use it.
The discovery of the two of them as an approach burn into Mary Harry's passage just seconds later. And then,
Sorry.
precisely 4 a.m., our two characters finally cross paths. After the unknown person approaches Jorge, who is already down on the ground, they then sit down and chat for approximately 12 minutes before setting off together. Another camera then captures the two of them on camera.
Heads up.
At the time, it is unknown what their mutual intentions were, but Jorge had seemingly agreed to
Is it?
walk with this stranger. They are then seen walking together on some...
That's it. Sado.
Jammed.
Fuck, do I open the door?
Oh, another stranger. Are you Vault-Tec security? I've waited so very patiently for you to arrive.
Do I look like Vault-Tec security? Jeez.
Over the long years, who is to say what is fashionable now? True, your attire is a bit dirty, but not all people properly value the importance of hygiene and cleanliness. I am pleased to report I completed my primary duties 83 years ago. Thousands of pathogens were grown in the mole rat hosts. Then a single broad-spectrum cure was developed to treat them all. Very satisfying work for many decades. Now, please tell me you are authorized to release me from the lab.
Why can't you just leave?
I require verbal or written authorization. Actually, any Vault-Tec employee, even you, could authorize me. You must be Vault-Tec, or you couldn't possibly be here.
I am so authorized. You are released.
Superb. I had almost given up all hope of leaving here. I'll open the door for you. If you have an equivalent to my digital Hippocratic oath, please use it quickly to prevent any undue suffering. However, be advised, there is only one dose left, and I can no longer make any more. If that is all, I am most eager to leave.
Thanks for the cure.
It is my hope that this cure finds its way to someone who needs it. Hopefully now I can properly further my scientific research. Since my job here is done, I think I will follow you out. So much to learn and see. What is it? We must consult the professors at the university. They could provide many answers.
I don't care. Okay. That's it, right? Secret stash. Nothing. Of course, why would there be anything? Nothing. Oh, just 1.5. Nothing. Let's take this.
Perfect.
That's it, right? Okay. Nothing. What is that? It's a microscope. Ah. I don't have too much. Fuck. Jesus Christ. Okay, nothing. Alright. Microscope. Let's go. Microscope. Stop. If your OCD is just one microscope, you can't take it. obviously. Yeah. Secret compartments. And that's it. Just her computer. Which I don't care about.
Yes? A routine analysis of you indicates you have suffered very little from radiation. Curious.
Yeah, but why can I not take her? That's what I want to know. Are we all gonna go together? Interesting. We're all gonna go to fucking together. We're all gonna go to fucking together. That sounds fun. I'm kind of hungry, even though I shouldn't be. I ate a lot today. Should drink some water. Ah, this is the other way. Okay, come on. Let's go. Let's go talk to him.
Nice pit bull. If it ever starts acting up on you, see Alexis. She'll fix it right up.
Let's go to the other side. I'm gonna level up. I don't know what to level up. I should look that up. My perk chart. So, I mean, 31, not anytime soon. 41, not anytime soon. I mean, it doesn't get better than that, but I should definitely. Charisma's up by 4. 4. I should do luck. Definitely, I should do luck. My luck needs to be up. Luck. And that's I'm not gonna do that anytime soon. Yeah, luck. Yeah, luck and armor is the next thing I'm gonna do.
It is stimulating traveling with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wonder how the Ebola, hepatitis, and influenza have mutated over the years.
Okay, so let's go to the doctor. And let's fucking level up. As we should.
Calvin's always looking for tools. I heard he'll pick caps if you got them.
Yeah, it's here. Wait, I was here. No. The other side. Here.
Everything's under control.
There we go. Let's talk.
The cure. You found it.
Here. Take the cure and use it on the boy.
Only 1 dose? I hope this works. If it doesn't, there won't be anything to analyze to try again. Let's hope this works.
I heard you had returned.
She got a fat ass.
It shouldn't be long.
What? Where am I?
You're in the clinic. You were really sick, Austin. Our visitor from the Commonwealth saved your life.
Really? Thanks, ma'am.
I was worried to death about you, Austin. What got into your fool head? Going into a place like that?
Nothing exciting ever happens here. I just wanted to see what was in there.
Well, if it hadn't been for our friend here, you might have died. Thank you. I know you made sacrifices to help him. I know Dr. Pinsky will be grateful. For my part, I'd like to give you this syringer. I had it for years and never really had a use for it.
She's not the only one. The whole vault is thankful. I'd like to give you a room here in the vault. A place you can call your own. It's in the main hall. On the left as you get off the elevator. Once again, thank you.
Can I go see
After
Gran?
this, you'd
I want
think
something
Bobby
to eat.
DeLuca
I'm
would have reached out for help by
starving.
now. That boy's
Someday,
useless.
I'm gonna check out the Commonwealth. If my Gran
Yep,
lets me.
Yep, I love help. Great. And then let's do luck. do luck one more time. Then armor, and then this, because damn. Now I got too much shit to hold, so I gotta go to my room now. Do you buy stuff? Do you?
Hello, Dr. Forsyth.
I'm curious as to what Vault-Tec was studying beyond our walls. Without your help, Austin would be dead. Thank you.
Not many doctors around these days. Should let me take a look at you.
I need some supplies, Doctor.
Great. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I can sell stuff. It's great. She got ammo. Gladly take it. Buff out. Med-X, don't need. Mentats, I don't need. Psycho. Yeah.
I'm all for taking all we can, but you're looking a little way down there.
Rachel.
In need of medical assistance?
I need some supplies, Doctor.
Great. Let's take a look.
Let's see. Cryo mine. I don't need all this shit. Short pipe revolver. I'll keep the syringer. I'll keep that. This is the first time I get it. Eyeglasses, definitely. Tatarax. Vault-Tec. Yeah, that's it. Blood pack. More at me. Vodka. That's it. Nothing else. Good. Now I can walk. Yeah.
A moment, please. I have been trapped so many years. I believe it's customary to thank you for your role in saving me. My entire life has been in this vault. I have analyzed and learned everything there is to know here. So now I must see the rest of the Commonwealth, consult with scientists, unearth more data to challenge my hypothesis.
After the bombs, the Commonwealth is a little lacking in the science department.
But surely there is still men of learning out there, and if nothing else, there is data. I can see you already have company. I do not wish to intrude, but I must ask. Please, madame, can you take me with you?
Come along, then.
Excellent. We must embark at once.
Send Kate to the castle. Kate is going to the castle. Okay, good. Okay, let's get the fuck out of here. No, where are you going, bro? Where are you going, bro? How the fuck do I get
I heard that kid who got bit is gonna be all right.
You said right when you get off the elevator. Oh, it's not my room.
Austin sure recovered fast, thanks to you. Damn it. You're just holding that wrench.
Okay, the elevator is here.
Hybridization. It's got to be a flaw in the hybridization.
But she said right when you get off the elevator.
Oh, can we stay here?
Hey there, you got some tools for me today?
Ah, this is my room. Yeah, this is my room. Django's room, you can stay there. I'm curious how many I got. Bobblehead, bobblehead, bobblehead. I only got those. Bobblehead. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I only got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's cool. Okay. I'll keep getting more eventually. Alright, let's get out of here.
Still can't believe they found an entire new section of the vault.
Watch yourself.
Huh?
I could, but it's just one thing, bro.
Never had an incident on my watch, and I don't want to start today.
I heard about what you did for Austin. Yeah, thanks.
Hey there.
Look, I'm sorry for being so harsh before. I'm not beyond admitting when I'm wrong. Things sure are gonna change around here.
Yeah, because I helped you guys. Now you guys see the fucking light. You won't be assholes anymore. Yeah, let's go, motherfuckers, let's go. Yeah. The fuck happened? Okay. Now, where are we gonna go? Practically did everything I had to do. Let's go here first. Whew. That's 10. I mean, it's 11. Fuck, it's 11, bro. That's crazy.
to change my mind. What are you doing? I couldn't sleep. Stop it right now. This is the best day of my life. Mom! What? Throw it on the carpet again. Why? Oh, I ate one of the shakes for your swimsuits. No, this was my favorite one. God, these shoes smell horrible. I love it. Hey, you cleaned my litter box. Thanks. You're welcome. It smells so good in here. Yeah. Be a real shame if I had your in it. Don't do it. Please don't do it. I don't even have to go right now, but I bet I can pinch one off. God, you're disgusting. Have you seen any of my hair ties? No. Oh my god, you've been stealing them? I thought it was a toy. You have toys, but I don't like any of them. What's wrong? Oh, I'm starving. What? Your bowl is full. No, look in the middle. Here, better? Oh, thank you so much. I was freaking out. Okay, I'll be back. Wait, what? I know I have a really good life in here, but... Hey, come back here. Later, loser, I'm gonna go find a husband and start a family. You're fixed. Okay, now I'm never coming back. Oh, yeah? Oh my god, snacks. Hey, can you pet me? Yeah, come here. Touch me. You just asked me to pet you. Well, I'm allowed to change my mind. Wake up in the morning. Up in the morning, yeah, stretch.
1, 2, 3, go.
Let's go.
Parks Road and eventually at South Lodge Park. Now, this surveillance camera in particular is a mere few hundred feet away from the River Sherwell, and more specifically, the exact area where Jorge's body was found. The discovery of this footage, plus the realization that this stranger was with him a mere meters away from where he was found, was highly suspicious to officers. Which is great, by the way, because to begin with, everyone thought that his death was accidental. In fact, his initial autopsies concluded that he'd died from intoxication and then drowning. This was despite them recognizing that he had blunt force trauma to the back of the head. If Jorge's death was an accident, then he'd have had to fall backwards, knock himself out, roll over, and then drown himself. So yeah, none of this made any sense whatsoever. But this so-called accident would be the main story for quite some time. In fact, for more than 2 years. But then, finally, some fresh evidence came to light. Forensic officers would find a Smirnoff vodka.
You better keep your mouth shut about this place.
And after analysing it, they found it contained his DNA and the DNA of another unknown individual. And after reviewing the surveillance footage more closely, they realized that the person walking around with Jorge that night seemed to be carrying that vodka bottle. And so, the next big question to the authorities was Jorge really killed? And if someone had planned to murder him, then why? The truth is, for a very long time, nobody knew what precisely happened to Jorge. And while his death did seem suspicious to many, they had no solid evidence, or even a person of interest for that matter. The city of Oxford would soon return to business as usual. Those walking around at night soon forgot about the strange death by the river, and the hooded figure seemed to slip out of the minds of almost everyone. Meanwhile, back at home in Spain, Jorge's family were left with open wounds and relentless questions. Tragically, that would remain the case for over 2 years, until one day, the authorities received a strange phone call. The caller was a trans woman from the United States, and she was calling to report that her partner, who lived in Oxford, had recently admitted to murdering a man. So, her partner's name is Scarlett Blake, and let me tell you, we will be learning a lot about Scarlett over the next 10 minutes. Because, quite frankly, this is one seriously messed up individual. So, let's begin with their relationship. Ashlyn Bell, who lived in the US,
It's always possible to see you can do with only 2
was 23 years old at the time of Jorge's murder. Scarlett is also a trans woman, and lived on Crotch Crescent, which is in the same area where Jorge's body was found. After finding each other over the internet, the two struck up an online relationship, and it seems that both of them shared some rather sick fantasies. Ashlyn claimed that Scarlett had a morbid interest in killing living creatures, and that, furthermore, they would fantasize about murdering animals and other people. And furthermore, Ashlyn told the authorities that Scarlett had confessed to murdering Jorge with a garrote before throwing him into the river. Sadly, this story gets even worse. In March March of 2021, Scarlett's neighbors became worried when their cat suddenly disappeared. You can likely tell where this is going, but the long story short is that Scarlett is to blame. After buying a cat trap and cat food, she eventually caught the unlucky feline. Now, I need to be quite vague with the details
I've never
here,
lost
but
anyone
after
before.
capturing the cat, she bought a camera, a tripod, and studio lights. And after that, she murdered the cat while live streaming it to Ashlyn. This included dissection, skinning, decapitation, and then even using a blender. Now, I'm going to be quite honest with you here, but after reading all of the details of this case, and more specifically what happened to that cat, I did really struggle to finish this one. Many of you know about Nero and how much he means to me, and the idea of being able to do such evil things to an animal just really sinks my stomach. Although the world is slowly waking up to cats and the actual depth of their capabilities, many people still don't understand how intelligent, friendly, adaptable, and lovable these animals can be. Humans and cats have been companions for as long as 2,000 years. Initially utilized to defend humans from rat and mouse infestations, cats are now commonly adopted for companionship.
It's astounding how much we still have to discover out here.
I know I'm not the only person here who's lost someone.
Raise them correctly.
I miss him so much.
Got a friend for life. As some of you already know, Nero spends most of his days next to my desk, on my lap, beside me at night. And even if he's not the sharpest crayon in the box, he sits,
What's going
does
on?
tricks, and tries to mirror my behavior. So, with that said, you can probably understand how much this fucker angers me. Revealing this information to the authorities was a massive blow for Ashlyn, as she would confess that she was part of the problem. In fact, that live stream was a birthday present to her. But she also knew that, at her own expense,
My systems are continuing to function at peak efficiency.
Within this live stream, Scarlett was seen smiling and laughing while murdering the cat, and also confessed that she would love to do this to a human one day. To make things even more twisted and incomprehensible, it was soon learned that Scarlett had even adopted the persona of a cat, and would often be out friends and family. And if that wasn't enough already, she had even found a pet microchip, added all of her personal details to the nation's animal database, and then inserted that microchip inside one of her breasts. Now, all of this is incredibly sick stuff to even think about, let alone commit. But Ashlyn claimed that all of it were true. And even worse, she had the evidence to prove it. As you already know, Jorge walked the dark streets of Oxford with this mysterious figure in a hooded jacket. Well, at 2:30 a.m. that very same morning, and a mere couple hours before his death, Scarlett sent a picture of her wearing the very same jacket to Ashlyn. In fact, just moments later, she then
Perhaps in time it will return to its former grandeur.
Where are you, Kate? I need the rest of my shit, man. She would be here somewhere. Wouldn't she? Maybe here? She hasn't reached. Most likely she hasn't reached it yet. Who's that? Ronnie, old lady. Yeah, she's not here yet. Surprisingly. Oh, she's here.
Excuse me.
Ready to head back out?
I just want to trade a few things.
What am I? A bank?
Give Know the shit that I gave you, and we're good to go.
Why bother? That's just garbage.
Shut up, woman.
I toss it.
Kill Jorge in the same clothing. This jacket was then sent to Ashlyn Bell in the United States, where officers would soon recover it for examination. Rather disgusting side note, it had Ashlyn's semen all over it. And so, with all of this information now in the hands of the authorities, they decided to pay Scarlet Blake a little visit and finally arrest her. Even still, she would complain about being grumpy and having to give up smoking.
They could do that. So what we've got here is we've got a healthcare professional, so basically a nurse in custody. For instance, you need nicotine, and I think they've got those. Do they not? They used to, but I think they still have double check. For some reason, I'm saying still. Saturday, when they mentioned it's not happening well. Most of the baby families, I suppose. It's a little percentage of nicotine, isn't it? It's not a great concoction, is it?
No, let me do this to Suri.
I've never lost anyone before.
Ada Cogsworth Curie.
This failure is new to me. I must apologize for the odd noises I'm currently emitting, a consequence of being mechanical in nature. It's a pleasure to serve with you, ma'am. All systems are go, ma'am. Traveling with you is proving to be quite uplifting. Never fear, ma'am. I will ensure your safety to the best of my ability.
I use ceramic for everything, bro.
least it's not raining.
Yeah. That's the best I can do. But I need ceramic.
Is this worth anything? This world above ground is very confusing.
Do I have it? That's the question.
Nightera Aslan, Brotherhood of Steel, Recon Team 429 Alpha, serial number 3431. It's been 3 hours since I set my distress pulsar. There's been no word from the Paladin or Ferris. Their objective was a satellite array on the coast. They may be out of range. My orders were to hold this position at all costs. The entire site has been overrun. The door won't last much longer. Paladin Brandis, sir. It's been an honor, sir.
Alright, let's do it. I want to level up, so let's do it. Okay, let's go. I need to go there.
That's right. She was then heard saying, "It could be worse. At least it's not genocide." Following Scarlett's arrest, many new details came to light.
We got an extra shovel anywhere in this scrap?
Pretty sure we do. Yeah.
Know where it is?
Not a clue.
But doesn't it ever occur to you that all this junk isn't doing us any good if we can't find something when we need it?
You just need to dig around a little. It's there somewhere.
Yeah. I think it'd be faster to shovel dirt with my hands.
This life ain't for everyone. Hell, I ain't even sure it's for me.
Looks like super mutants here, so. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
It's arrest. And finally arrest her. Even still, she would complain about being grumpy and having to give up smoking.
They can do that, so we've got healthcare professionals, so basically a nurse in custody. If you, for instance, you need nicotine, I think they've got
something nearby. I bet the enemy has been spotted. My steel packs have gone through extensive quality control. Would you like?
Look alive.
Do you need something?
I wanted to make sure things were okay between you and me.
I find these traveling arrangements quite acceptable.
Your thoughts?
I wonder if the data I'm collecting will serve any purpose.
Didn't have anything else.
As you say.
Someone there? Huh? What's that?
That's right. She was then heard saying,
What was that?
Fuck.
Smashing! Smashing!
Move, move, move.
that is when she found Jorge on the ground at 4 a.m. Sadly, the rest is not.
What the fuck? I can't focus. I can't listen to both at the same time, unfortunately. Super mutants are no fucking joke.
You hit like a rad roach! Now I'm angry! You pay for that!
He's almost dead. He's the one that's hurting me the fucking most, though. Yeah, there's two more. One guy now.
You humans made us! Now suffer for your arrogance!
Fuck. I already ran out of ammo. Okay, so I just have... I can't do nothing with that. Of course. It's just... Closest left. Just, you know. I can get you. A bit closer, and we're good to go.
You see me, human? This is death!
Beautiful. Got your fucking ass. So...
Perfect.
Positive while sneaking. Okay, good. Okay, let's start.
Relieved to hear the news. Many of them believed that his death. And sadly, choosing to live this time, picture shows a couple heard saying. Rather disgusting side note. Well, and even worse, she had the evidence to prove it. As you already know, Jorge walked the dark streets of Oxford with this mysterious jacket. Well, at 2:30 a.m. that very same morning, and only a couple hours before his death, Scarlett sent a picture of her wearing the very same jacket to Ashlyn. In fact, just moments later,
Got it.
set off to find and kill Jorge in the same clothing. This jacket was then sent to Ashlinville in the United States, where officers would soon recover it for examination. Rather disgusting side note, it had Ashlyn's semen all over it. And so, with all of this information now in the hands of the authorities, they decided to pay Scarlett Blake a little visit and finally arrest her. Even still, she would complain about being grumpy and having to give up smoking.
They can do that, so what we've got here is we've got a healthcare professional, so basically a nurse in custody. If you're, for instance, you need nicotine, I think they've got those. Do they not? Any use to, but it needs to double check.
I want to leave this place.
That's right. She was then heard saying, it could be worse, at least it's not genocide. Following Scarlett's arrest, many new details came to light. They would find many images of her, including a picture of a handmade garage she had made from 2 metal handles and piano wire, and a picture saying, bruise my esophagus, which was incorrectly spelled. Another picture shows a comic of a man and a cat talking while they clean up a murder scene, and another shows a first date with me starter pack, including a knife, gun, tape, and rope. A fifth photo was about a type of woman she's into, showcasing 2 women which have already appeared on this channel. It was so light that Scarlett's earliest premeditated actions began in January of 2021, when, at the time, she bought a humane cat trap from eBay. In February of 2021, she then bought a Smirnoff Ice vodka bottle. Authorities say that they later found the lid of this bottle next to Jorge's body at Parsons Pleasure, and although it may not be the exact same lid, it at least confirms that Scarlett was a fan of Smirnoff. I mean, let's be real, choosing At 2:30 on the morning of Jorge's murder, Scarlett took a picture of herself wearing a combat jacket before sending it to Ashlyn. She then set off into the darkness, looking for a drunk victim
Oh, no.
to be her prey. That is when she found Jorge on the ground at 4 a.m. And sadly, the rest is morbid history. Jorge's family and friends were shocked, appalled, and even relieved to hear the news. Many of them believed that his death was not an accident, and so to put a name and a face to his killer was a very big step. However, this did reopen many wounds for the Caramba family. Many of them had been silently grieving his death for the last 2 years, and now, with Scarlett's trial on the horizon, they would have to revisit old feelings. Scarlett's trial began roughly 6 months later, where she would have to defend herself against a judge.
Look alive.
May I be of what is it?
Just wanted to check in. See how you feel things are going between us.
As long as we stay clear of vaults, I am quite content.
That's all for now.
As you wish.
Scarlett's trial began for the last 2 years, and now, with Scarlett's trial on the horizon, they would have to revisit old feelings. Scarlett's trial began roughly 6 months later, where she would have to defend herself against a judge and a panel of 12 jurors. The prosecution built their case around a sadistic fantasist, one who seemed to mutilate a cat and then turn their attention towards a human. The defense were a little weak on the knees, though, and they tried to claim that, when the story was not looking good for them, was not enough evidence to prove that Scarlett murdered Jorge. While in court, Scarlett told the jury that apparently she was part cat, an alter ego of some sort, and that the cat part of the fragmented personality was always happy. There is a part that is just cats, and that is what the happy part of me is. In that, they come out when I am happy. With friends I know quite well, I meow at them when greeting. It is quite strange. It is very prominent when I'm expressing certain emotions. The cat has a pretty strong association with joy and, I suppose, innate goodness. It is a kind of childhood innocence. She then followed up by meowing with the jury. She also said, I don't know how he dies. I assume he drowned. It wasn't something I did. As to how, I still don't know. I wasn't there. The court learned that messages sent before and after July the 25th show that Scarlett and Ashlyn shared a prolonged obsession with harm and death. Scarlett would tell the court that she did not want to kill a living creature, let alone a person, and that actually it was Ashlyn who pressured her to do so. She further attributed her morbid interests to a split or dissociative personality, using the language of psychiatry to explain her behavior. Throughout their evaluations, psychologists did not find any mental illness, nor did Scarlett ever have any relevant mental illness or mental disorder in her past. She further denied murdering Jorge and claimed that she left him near the park, alive and well. And although she would eventually admit to murdering the cat, she claimed that it was to win Ashlyn's approval. Now, being blunt, Ashlyn clearly is a sick fuck, but she is not responsible for Scarlett's actions. It soon became clear to the prosecution that Scarlett's actions were strongly motivated by Netflix's documentary called Don't Fuck with Cats. Her live stream was carefully put together
Fuck.
features the track True Faith by New Order, which can be found in the same documentary. The prosecution further suggested that on the night she murdered Jorge, she was carrying a murder kit, which included a carrot and lemon French dressing gown. No surprise though, Scarlett would deny all these allegations. It was also learned that in the days after Jorge's murder, Scarlett took photos of the memorial left by his family and the tree next to which she had killed him. She then returned to the same spot 1 year later, where she took a photo of herself next to the tree. By now, she had broken up with Ashlyn, and during this time, she had boasted about murdering this man to her new partner. During her trial, the pathologist ruled out the possibility that Jorge died immediately after being strangled. Instead, there were 3
I suspect the soldier had his femoral artery severed. His death would have been excruciating.
Was good news for Scarlett's trial, and then rotated to be face down. In short, this simply being an accident was not adding up. None of this was good news for Scarlett's trial. Not that you would know how she felt, as she remained mostly emotionless throughout the entire process.
動画用の音楽を探していますか？それならアートリストをチェック。毎日新しい音楽を知ったたった一つのシングルから演奏する全てのようなカバー。アートリストは全てのクリエイターのための音楽プラットフォーム。今すぐ始めてぴったりの音楽を見つけよう。クリエイターのために作られたアートリスト。
It is a wonder you can move at all.
At the end of a 3-week trial, the jury would only take a few hours to come to their verdict, and no surprise, they unanimously found her guilty of 1 count of murder. Scarlett Blake was therefore sentenced to life imprisonment, with 24 years behind bars before being eligible for parole. In addition to this, she was also given a measly 4 months for murdering her neighbour's cat, which, if you ask me, is despicably insufficient. Now, Parliament has recently increased the maximum sentence for animal cruelty from 6 months to 5 years. However, because Scarlett's actions occurred before this change was made, her sentence is based on old grounds. Following her trial,
Trade is good.
were relieved to hear the verdict, and so, in response, they released a statement to honour him. Today, his absence leaves a deep wound in our hearts. His life was stolen, cutting short his projects and dreams. This tribute is not just a reminder of Jorge, but also a call to justice. There can be no peace until justice is served. May this inexplicable loss drive us to a fight for a world where justice prevails, and where we can build a safer future for everyone. Every day, we will remember Jorge, his laughter, his joy, his zest for life, and of course, all those unforgettable moments we shared. Their extended tribute was beautiful to read. Jorge was marked as a man with a great sense of humour. He was kind, ambitious, and, above all else, an incredibly good person. Moving from Spain to the beautiful city of Oxford, he was on his own path in life, exploring various cultures and ways of living along the way. It was during his time out with friends, or colleagues who loved him enough to see him out of work, that he was taken advantage of, all for the sick profit of fulfilling an evil fantasy. As described by his family, his loss feels like a traumatic, devastating blow, leaving a void impossible to fill. When you think about it, Jorge's murder was so incredibly senseless and tragic. I mean, he didn't even know his killer a mere few hours before his death. And while I do believe in a world where all of us can be safe out at night, we still must exercise caution in public. And although these stories do tend to involve female victims, that does not mean that men are exempt. Anyway folks, I think I'll wrap this case up here today. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate you being here. Before you go though, I do have 2 questions for you. To begin with, what do you think about this story? Because for me, I found this one to be so infuriating. And the second question is, what did you think about the style of this video? I tried to do a few... exploring various cult humor. Now, it is true that a combination of two or more of these factors could have also caused his death, but the court heard that hemorrhages found within his facial tissues and at the base of his tongue cannot be explained if his death was an accident. Furthermore, if Jorge's death was theoretically an accident, then bruises on the back of his right shoulder and the left of his head could only have been sustained if he'd fallen backwards, hit the concrete slab at the water's edge, and then rotated to be face down. In short, this simply being an accident was not adding up. None of this was good news for Scarlett's trial. Not that you would know how she felt, as she remained mostly emotionless throughout the entire process. At the end of a 3-week trial, the jury would only take a few hours to come to their verdict, and no surprise, they unanimously found her guilty of 1 count of murder. Scarlett Blake was therefore sentenced to life imprisonment, with 24 years behind bars.
Look. Alright, yeah, I need to do it one more time. I need to listen to the holotape too. See, the next thing I have to fucking do.
This is Ferris. It's been 2 hours since the Paladin left. My leg. I can't staunch the bleeding. The bullet must have hit an artery. Brandis, if you get this, I hope you made it back to Aslan in time. There was nothing you could do for me. Get to the bunker up north. You'll survive. That's all that matters.
Okay, but where's the bunker? That's what I want to know. Like, can you like stop? Alright, so I'm almost there. Radio. Stranded signal. I mean, that's it. That's him. Although I want to buy some shit. Because
before being eligible for parole. In addition to this, she was also given a measly 4 months for murdering her neighbour's cat, which, if you ask me, is despicably insufficient. Now, Parliament has recently increased the maximum sentence for animal cruelty from 6 months to 5 years. However, because Scarlett's actions occurred before this change was made, her sentence is based on old grounds. Following her trial, Jorge's family were relieved to hear the verdict. So, in response, they released a statement to honor him. Today, his absence leaves a deep wound in our hearts. His life was stolen, cutting short his projects and dreams. This tribute is not just a reminder of Jorge, but also a call to justice.
What do you want?
There can be no peace until justice is served. May this inexplicable loss drive us to a fight for a world where justice prevails.
Hey, Carla. Need to pick something up? Road's pretty long from here.
We will remember Jorge. His
Let's see what you got.
joy,
I got a little bit of
his
everything.
life, and of course, all those unforgettable moments we shared. Their extended tribute was beautiful to read. Jorge was marked as a man with a great sense of humor. He was kind, ambitious, and, above all else, an incredibly good person. Moving from Spain to the beautiful city of Oxford, he was on his own path in life, exploring various cultures and ways of living along the way. It was during his time out with friends, or colleagues who loved him enough to see him out of work, that he was taken advantage of, all for the sick profit of fulfilling an evil fantasy. As described by his family, his loss feels like a traumatic, devastating blow, leaving a void impossible to fill. When you think about it, Jorge's murder was so incredibly senseless and tragic. I mean, he didn't even know his killer a mere few hours before his death. And while I do believe in a world where all of us can be safe out at night, we still must exercise caution in public. And although these stories do tend to involve female victims, that does not mean that men are exempt. Anyway, folks, I think I'll wrap this case up here today. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate you being here. Before you go, though, I do have 2 questions for you. To begin with, what do you think about this story? Because for me, I found this one to be so infuriating. And the second question is, what did you think about the style of this video? I tried to do a few things differently here, including script structure, change of music, and a few other small effects. So, that in mind, what are your thoughts? If you'd like to support me in the channel, check out my Patreon here, or alternatively, my social media here. Anyway, folks, that is it today. Thank you again so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you again very soon for another one. Until that moment arrives, though, remember to look after yourself, look after each other, and of course, stay safe. Thank you, and goodbye.
Should I? Yeah, Chris Broad. It's been a while, so 1, 2, okay, let's go.
歯茎を健康に保つキシリトール。歯垢の生成を抑える特保のガムです。
リクルートスタッフィングは8万人もの IT エンジニアと当てた。エンジ
I feel like this was a setup by the local government to save on pension payments. They were like, yeah, there's a coffee over there, take the coffee, yeah. Oh, make sure you press the right button, don't take the large one. Oh, you pressed it. Oh, is your pension gone? Wow. Hello and welcome to the Abroad Japan podcast. Probably the best way of learning about life in Japan without actually being in Japan. I'm your host, Chris Broad, and we're joined as always by England's top Japan enthusiast, Mr. Pete Donaldson himself. Pete, how the devil are you doing? What's going on?
I'm okay, Christopher. I say I'm okay. I'm a little bit upset because I've done one thing that I think
Stay
every
sharp.
dog owner
Don't let your guard
gets
down.
upset by if it ever happens to them. I've accidentally got a bit of dog food on my hand, and it's made me feel a bit. It's giving me the jips. I'm not enjoying life, to be honest. I'm like, I've got dog food on my hand, and I didn't notice, and now my hand smells of dog food. So. If the listeners and the viewers take nothing else from this show, just know that my hand smells of dog food, and it's just one of those feelings next to, I don't know, cotton wool on the teeth, fingers down a blackboard. Dog food on your hand is very upsetting. I find anyway.
That sounds horrible. I mean, I spend a phenomenal amount of time with cats now. Our youngest cat, Tuna, who I've talked about at length, being a tyrannical cat, he can open doors and seemingly perform the impossible. We put him in a cage once when we first got him, and at about 7 a.m. he burst into the room and jumped on my face. And was like, "Ah!" And we were like, how did he get out? Maybe the door opened.
Yeah.
Went in there, the door was shut, and to this day we don't know how he got out. We're talking like a cage with small gaps, you know, like the metal's close together. He must have literally stuffed his head through and done a Houdini, like a snake or something. Like, I don't know how he did it.
Is he made of molten metal, Chris? That's what we need to ascertain, I think. Is he made of liquid metal? Can he squeeze through? Yeah.
Honestly, sometimes
I'm also,
I wish... What's that, love hearts?
I'm also eating some love hearts as well. Should we do a little... love hearts are great, but around about the year 2000, they started filling them with like absolute millennial junk, saying stuff like "email me," text me, I love you,
swipe left,
man. Like just all that nonsense. So hang on.
Do we have love hearts in the rest of the world, or is it a British phenomenon? They're basically sweet skies where there's a little love heart and it has a little romantic message on it, and they taste
a little romantic message on it. Yeah.
Sketchy.
Yeah. Okay. It just says you can. I don't come to Love Hearts for inspirational messages. I come to Love Hearts for love messages. Not you can. It should be inspirational. Should be about dog food on the hand kind of love. It's true. If there's another one, it's true. None of this makes sense. None of this are these love hearts. I don't think Americans have love hearts. I think they have. They have sweethearts. I think I spoke about this on the podcast a couple of years ago. I got obsessed with the quite sort of, I think, 70s sweet in America. Sweethearts. And they are insanely good. And you can get really big ones. And you put it in the mouth, and it fills your mouth. And but the only thing is, but you have to brush your teeth immediately afterwards, because otherwise your teeth will ache for about 3 days. I'm off to WrestleMania in a few weeks' time in Philadelphia, and I'm going to absolutely fill my carry-on full of sweethearts for the journey home, and then I'll just spend a month complaining about why my teeth absolutely kill.
I mean, American sweets are on another level. Famously, Natsuki described Hershey's chocolate as having an animal smell. We did a blind taste test, and he was nearly physically sick.
You need a cup of coffee with American canned. You need a cup of coffee with American chocolate, I think. You need to sort of acquire a bit of a taste. Once you've got it, though, it's there for life, I think. But yeah, you're right. The first few times you have like a Hershey's Kiss or something, it's like, oh God, it tastes like cat sick. It tastes like dog food.
It really does. It really does. But what I will say is, I remember going to America as a kid for the first time when I was 9 and being amazed in an American sweet shop at the fact there was more than one flavour of Skittles. Because in the UK it's just the bland red packet. In America it was like tropical flavour, sour flavour, excitement flavour. And I was like, wow, America's such a great country. It's just so much better than anywhere else. They've got all the sweets. They've won. I don't feel like that anymore.
And
alas,
and like a lot of American products, they have like, for some reason they legally, presumably down to the aforementioned, is it Surgeon General? Is he? I think he's just medicine, isn't he? But whatever, USDA, I think you have to have like big warnings on your packaging if you've got anything naughty in it, and that's always quite disturbing. Like there's colour in this that could kill you and your family for generations. It could make you sterile. Like these lovely sweets, some old Cracker Jacks or something.
Get a mouthful of that tasty trisodium phosphate. I remember Warheads though, like the first time I had a Warhead. Have you ever had that sour sweet? It's like pure explosion in your mouth.
They're the most available, because like a lot of like tax write-offs and like dodgy is it Kuwaiti companies or Iraq? No, not Iraqi. Visit the high street in.
We appear to be under fire.
It's like an American candy store.
Dangerous. Combat is quite vigorous exercise.
Things. Apologies to the Kuwaitis if I besmirch your good name. But I'm fairly certain like a lot of the ones on Oxford Circus was Kuwaiti. Anyway, they rock up. They do half a year's worth of business and they don't find any bits and bobs and then chip off. It's great. great business, man. Yeah, it's a really interesting little. But they just sell American candy, and they don't seem to be doing. They don't seem to be doing that much of a trade, but they're always there. It's.
I can rest easy knowing that Wolfgang is rotten in hell.
They're always
Thank
front
you.
and center next to like some
Do you need anything?
flavored like Hershey nonsense.
I've got a few minutes to browse.
A little bit of everything.
I've never dirtied my boots with them. Never dirtied my boots.
Get ready for lemon flavour, because that
Lemon flavour.
It's one of those sweets that you think about and your mouth just salivates and begins to
Salivates.
Salivates.
Is your mouth salivating?
It is. It's salivating for this week's story, and this story comes from David, and it's very long, because whoever did the podcast this week, probably Dave, didn't
Get
trim
it
down.
read.
It begins.
Get it
Hello,
read.
Chris
Stop
and Pete.
complaining.
This story takes place one chilly afternoon in Kyoto, just before Christmas. I'd been to Japan on a solo trip before, and this time I'd been acting as a bit of a tour guide for my parents. After sightseeing in Gion, we were all feeling hungry, and at this point in the trip, we had already eaten quite a lot of sushi, ramen, udon, yakitori, and pretty much just about everything. It was at this point I made the executive decision that we should go to a magical and mysterious place that I'd heard so much about, the famous Japanese McDonald's, which I'd still not been to. Fun fact, just last week Mark Zuckerberg was in Japan, and he went to McDonald's. He described it as being, I think, like a Michelin star experience. So there you go, Mark Zuckerberg. He's just like all of us. He's a normal boy. It was at this point, everything was going smoothly. And as we sat down in our seats, I was excited to see just how excellent a Japanese Big Mac really is. My mum had ordered a salad, and it had come with a peculiar salad dressing packet, which requires you to squeeze it in a certain way so as not to cause complete and total disaster. It was at this point, my mum, unaware that she had it pointing in the wrong direction, squeezed on the salad dressing packet, sending the fluid flying, oh my God, over in the direction of an innocent and unsuspecting Japanese family. I was sitting on the opposite side, and not being able to fully assess the damage, I started panicking. I tried to reassure my parents, saying, oh, maybe it didn't hit them, don't worry, as the family was sitting in a booth and not directly beside us. Later, as we were leaving, I noticed one of the family members get up, and on the back of the poor woman's jacket, there was in fact salad dressing all over it. Staff began running over to wipe off the stains, trying to figure out how such a horrible crime could have possibly taken place. A commotion set in, and with my parents having already exited McDonald's after their terrorist act. Fully panicked, I began making excuses. I don't know Japanese to explain what happened, blah, blah, blah. This guy made his way out of McDonald's and got away with it after destroying a family's jacket with some salad dressing. So, an act of terrorism by all accounts. I mean, poor family. Unsuspecting family, you know.
I like the fact that they sort of like thought they thought, oh, maybe we got away with it. They just looked at the salad cream all over the back of somebody. They're gonna be railroaded out of town for crying out loud. Awful. The new Johnny Somali, the salad cream murderer. Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I went to Wendy's the other day. This is starting to turn into just all American culture.
Reviewing
American culture.
To be honest, I did have a quick look to see if I could find out whether it was Q80 businesses. I don't know where I got Q80. I even looked on the Daily Mail website. I thought, look, if somebody's going to be jingoistic and anti-foreign, it's going to be them.
Hey,
not
are you giving me a present?
They were registered in Jersey and Russia, so I don't know where I got Q80 from. Apologies to the Q80s. It was someone from my deep recesses of my mind.
I've never lost anyone before.
I wasn't being problematic.
This failure is new to me.
著作権フリーの音楽交換サイトはアートリスト。好きなジャンルや好きなアーティストを簡単に見つけダウ
Hello,
ン
ma'am.
ロードするだけ。あなたの動画に適した
Evening is drawing near. Perhaps we should seek shelter. It's astounding how much we still have to discover out here.
My name is Paul, filmmaker and YouTuber, and I am using Motion Array that has helped me produce a lot of content fast and...
I trust you're enjoying my company. You and I make quite an effective team.
assets which are easy to find, including stock footage, royalty-free music, sound effects, templates, and more. With the unlimited license, I can download as much as I want to, and as Motion Array is keeping up with the latest trends...
My onboard functions are operating at full capacity.
...for my next video. So join me and go to Motion Array right now and take...
I wonder how long my systems will endure these rugged conditions. It's astounding how much we still have to discover out here.
I've ever had. It was like, like the burger just tasted moldy. I like Wendy's. I like the bacon area. I live in the bacon.
Evening is drawing near. Perhaps we should seek shelter.
What's the bacon head? It's just like a burger with bacon on it. Is that what the bacon is?
That's a fair assumption.
Jackson ensured I was well built for travel. His modifications will be adequate for quite some time.
Right, okay. A little bit. I think they just assumed having square, that's our unique selling point. McDonald's and Burger King don't have square burgers.
We can keep traveling as much as you want. I don't require sleep or food in order to survive.
What's that? Do wombats do cuboid poos? This is an animal.
Don't worry, my ocular sensors are well suited for travel at night.
You'd be so good on a pub quiz with your Q80 sweet shop knowledge.
Half remembered knowledge. Right, Q80.
Everything seems to be proceeding according to plan, ma'am.
Nuts. Dear. But I went for, yesterday for the first time in a while, I went for Skemmen, which is kind of like dipping ramen.
Oh.
You don't know skemmen?
Oh, no, I've never heard of skemmen. What do you? It sounds like a fish. What do you do? You dip like bit like bread in your ramen, like a hot soup.
No. So skemmen is kind of like, I think it's the kanji-fied skedder with and then noodles. And basically you have like it's like somebody got a ramen and like separated it in a magical machine. But basically the broth is here. You've got your noodles and your pork and your egg in a separate bowl.
Are we going to see this baseball game? How exciting!
Typically with skemmen.
What kind of person pals around with a robot? Oh my god.
As well.
You're not a synth, are you?
Every conceivable good you could ever need is right here. If we don't have it, it's inconceivable.
I'll take a look. Sure.
Everything was so good. This place, I was walking around Tokyo trying to film something. It was all going horribly wrong. I saw this restaurant. I was like, oh yeah, this will turn my fortunes around. Skemmen. I haven't had that in 4 years. Went in and it was shit. The reason it was shit was because for some reason everything was just really weirdly cold. And when you have them in separate bowls, they're still supposed to be hot, and you dip it in, and it's nice. What happened here is the noodles, the egg, and the pork were cold. The broth was like really weird. The top of the broth was hot, and the bottom of the broth was cold, as if it had like transcended the laws of thermodynamics. I don't know why.
The laws of the Goldilocks law, I call it.
Or the shit microwave law, as I call it, because I'm guessing they must have put it in the microwave or something, this liquid, but not to the right amount of time. I don't know. All I know is it was pretty rancid, and I was very disappointed. And then I was very lethargic for 3 hours because it was a very noodle-heavy meal. So I lost on all fronts.
Dip it.
It's a disaster.
Sounds like you had a terrible. Why don't you just have a Wendy's baked potato? Come on.
Can't eat Wendy's. I can't eat fucking skemmen.
Wendy's.
Maybe
just all of your your Japanese, your love of the Japanese food has just absolutely deserted you. You just want something a bit British again.
Maybe. But my life might be bad, but it's not as bad as the poor principal in this week's story. This is a really depressing story. But it involves coffee, theft, and a man who lost his job, his life, and everything over stealing like a 300 yen coffee. Anyway, take it away, Pete. Fill us in. What's going on?
You always sort of walk up to telling the whole story, and then you just jump over the line. With the last sentence. And go, tell us all about it. You just said it. But I was just saying, Chris, that I do like Japan because there is a real kind of raft of measures you can give men of advancing years. Because if
surely we can leave that behind.
Late in life, they can take take your pension off you really, like soon as look at you. A junior high school principal in Corbett has lost his job and retirement pay, believed to be around about $135,000, as a punishment for overfilling his coffee at a convenience store in Takasogo, Hyogo Prefecture. According to school board, the principal paid 110 yen at the counter of a convenience store to buy a regular-sized coffee at a self-service coffee machine. However, a store clerk noticed that he filled his cup for a large coffee, which actually cost 180 yen. Police sent files on the suspected theft at the Himeji branch of the Kobe District Public Prosecutor's Office. The prosecutors acknowledged that he committed the theft but decided not to indict him.
I hope you find your son.
Board officials basically said, right, what's on this about, mate? You've been getting the bigger coffees, and you've been pressing the big coffee button, and you've only been paying for a small coffee. The man said, I did it on the impulse of the moment, and he's truly sorry for his misconduct. He also admitted doing the same thing 4 times at another store, bringing the total amount he had scammed to 490 yen. How much is that in dollars and pounds?
Oh, it's about £2,
£3, £6
or $3.
Right.
$3.
When asked,
probably $1,000 salary.
So basically, the board official told the Asahi Shimbun. Good God, can you imagine the Asahi Shimbun reporter going, I could be doing Yakuza stuff, and I'm dealing with a man who stole $5 of coffee. They decided on a strict application of the rules in the principal's case, and yeah, apparently this prefecture has previous, because a municipal employee was dismissed for pouring a 200 yen cafe latte at a self-serve coffee machine at a convenience store despite paying for a 100 yen coffee. I'm a little bit worried because I may have done exactly that repeatedly.
No pension for you.
I'll add a little bit of syrup at the Esso garage. If I'm filling up my car and it's costing me $100, I think that, a bit of shoplifting reverses the damage, I think. I'm not paying an extra 30p for
This is
syrup.
the first time you've admitted to incredible crimes. Didn't you steal
Incredible
something from
crimes.
Heathrow Airport once because you're like...
Oh, actually, that was me wholesale. That was me.
It's a free can of coffee. I'll have that.
That was me tired. I was just tired and confused. I made off like a bandit. I think that's the only bit of proper shoplifting I've ever done.
Selling papers is busy work, lady.
When you don't realise you're the villain.
Need new clothes?
Yeah.
Just stop by Fallon's basement. Open during the day.
Remember Richard and Judy? Richard and his TV presenters in Britain. A bumbling kind of idiot.
Hey there, lady.
Called Richard, and Judy was his wife, and they used to be on television together. And Judy was good, and Richard was just like a real stupid posh man. And he was caught shoplifting once, and it was a real kind of like, it would be like, who's like, is it Kelly and Richard and Kelly? No, Kelly and something or other in America. They're like kind of like, housewives' kind of favourite kind of older men.
More sketchy knowledge from Pete.
Yeah.
Weird animals in Kuwaiti restaurants or whatever.
It's not even 7 o'clock in the morning, Chris. Give me a bit of leeway.
American TV
I'm off me out on a bigger juice and bloody Love Arts for crying out loud.
Location.
I'm putting my mouth now.
A new file to open.
Is that? Oh yeah. So,
it seems
Trust me.
20 million
I ain't so.
pension lost for a 490 yen theft. Like, did he do this before?
We can talk about guns, or maybe you want to consider something more up close and personal.
Let's see what you have.
Feel free to test the grips.
It's all tied up with being a leader of your community, I suppose, isn't it? And you've got to set an example to the children. So I imagine there's quite a lot of stuff written in your contract, or maybe even not. They just get away with absolute bloody murder in Japan when it comes to workplace relations and workplace conduct. But it's probably just like, well, you are supposed to be leading the children, and we can't have you just stealing a moderate amount of coffee a couple of times. Awful, absolutely awful.
I feel bad. Like when they interviewed him, he said, "Well, I did it on the impulse of the moment. You lost $135,000 hitting a button."
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, surely this is all to do with I mean, where was this? Was it convenience? So it wasn't convenience store. So it was technically proper theft. It wasn't like a school cafeteria. Imagine, I mean, if he's doing that in 7-Eleven, what's he doing?
Swatter. Who needs a swatter?
With the spur of the moment.
We got small arms, long arms, ammunition.
The Labour government to save pension payments. They were like, yeah, there's a coffee over there. Take the coffee, yeah. Make sure you press the right button. Don't
Probably nothing.
Oh, you pressed it. Oh, it's a pension government.
But some guy came into town, said he picked up a weird distress call in the Cambridge ruins.
Start like these kind of naughty investigators who just follow around older people and try and take their pension.
Synth-free shopping, right here.
Prescriptions filled, high-quality chems, right here.
The latest hairstyle from the upper stand.
Whatever it is, leave me out of it.
If you don't live here, you ain't nobody. Got it?
Nice day, huh?
Need some custom hardware? We got a free workbench for all your modifications.
Trench coat.
Ellie? Are you here?
Nick? Oh God, it's really you.
Well, it's hard to mistake this mug for anyone else.
You keep laughing at death. Someday, death's gonna laugh back.
Not as long as I got a few friends to back me up.
You saved Nick, this agency, and my job. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Yeah? Go diving into scary pre-war ruins all the time then, do ya? Here, every cap we agreed to for finding him. Plus a little something extra. You know, if you're looking for work and don't mind putting on the detective hat, Nick sure could use a new partner.
Whoa. One case at a time, Ellie. Our new friend needs our help first. All right, let's get down to business. Take a seat. Make yourself comfortable.
To survive so many years undamaged, what luck.
The Earl Sterling case. Apparently Earl just up and disappeared.
There we go.
Appeared one day. No one's seen him since.
I've been meaning to put Earl's case to bed for a while now. Glad you're up for it. So, what's your take on the case, Ellie?
On Earl? Well, he didn't have any enemies, that's for sure. Someone would have to notice you're alive first.
And Earl didn't exactly have the charisma to inspire any crimes of passion. What's that leave us?
I don't know, Nick. It can't be the Institute, right?
Guess that's up to you to find out.
The Marty Bullfinch case. Marty was Nick's partner. Emphasis on the was. He must have been some kind of desperate to come to us for help after all this time.
Well, Marty and I never exactly saw eye to eye. Mostly because he was usually passed out on the barroom floor.
Aw, come on, Nick. Think of the good times.
What, when he quit?
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Let's do it.
You're trying to find someone who's gone missing. The devil is in the details. Tell me everything you can, no matter how painful it might be.
We were in a vault when it happened. Vault 111. It was some kind of cryo facility.
You were on ice, huh? More importantly, you were underground, sealed up. It's a lot of obstacles to get through just to take one person. What else can you tell me?
My husband was murdered. He was just trying to keep them from taking Sean, and they just...
It's okay. You don't need to say anything more.
So, we're talking about a group of cold-hearted killers, but they waited until something went wrong to resort to violence. Anything else you remember?
We're looking for my baby, Sean. He's less than a year old. Why would anyone take him?
Good question. Why your family in particular, and why an infant? Someone would be taking on all of his care, and a baby needs a lot of it. Well, that confirms it. This isn't a random kidnapping. Whoever took your kid had an agenda. There's a lot of groups in the Commonwealth that take people. Raiders, super mutants, the Gunners, and of course there's the Institute.
So, you think this Institute is responsible?
Well, they're the boogeymen of the Commonwealth. Something goes wrong, everyone blames them. Easy to see why. Those early model synths of theirs strip whole towns for parts, killing everything in their way. Then you got the newer models, good as human, that infiltrate cities and pull strings from the shadows. Worst of all, no one knows why they do it, what their plan is, or where they are. Not even me. And I'm a synth myself. The discarded prototype, anyway.
Either way, I need to find Sean.
You're right. The speculation is getting us off track. Let's focus on what you saw. What did these kidnappers look like?
One of them came right up to me. Bald head, scar across his left eye.
Wait. It couldn't be. You didn't hear the name Kellogg at all, did you?
I might have. Everything was foggy.
It's way too big of a coincidence. Ellie, what notes do we have about the Kellogg case?
The description matches. Bald head, scar, reputation for dangerous mercenary work, but no one knows who his employer is.
And he bought a house here in town, right? And he had a kid with him, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. The house in the abandoned West Stands. The boy with him was around 10 years old.
It's Sean. It has to be. Somehow.
Don't jump the gun on me. You said you were looking for an infant, remember? That's over 9 years difference by my count. Look, maybe he has a son of his own. Maybe it's someone else's kid. Either way, they both vanished a while back. Let's you and I take a walk over to Kellogg's last known address. See if we can snoop out where he went.
Security doesn't really go to that part of town, but you two should still be careful.
I always am.
You've really gone through a lot, haven't you? Hope you and Nick find that monster.
Ellie.
You two be careful.
Nick.
Follow me. Let's check out this house Kellogg left vacant. I didn't want Ellie to hear this, but I think you should know. Everything I dug up
I don't
about
know why we
Kellogg
let
before his
Valentine live in the
disappearance.
city. He saves one or
Bad
two people,
news.
and everyone forgets
He's more
he's
than
a
just a
freaking
mercenary. He's a professional. Quick, clean, thorough. Has no enemies, because they're all dead. Except you. 9 to 1 odds says he's our man. It's more than just you identifying his distinguishing features. The M.O. is all him as well. Leading a small team to kidnap a baby and leaving one of the parents alive for later? Not many mercs in the Commonwealth can pull that off.
Nick.
Come on. Kellogg's house ain't far. Hold your horses.
Lock tight.
One heck of a lock. Got something to hide, Kellogg? Why don't you give it a try?
Don't think I can pick this. Hey, Valentine.
We can't get through that door. No luck? Guess we'll need to find the key. See that platform in the distance, near the city entrance? That's the elevator to the mayor's office. Why don't you go ask around there? I'll stay here and see if I can jimmy this lock.
Fedora's just following her, because at some point they're gonna, you know, I don't know, cut a red light or something. Just get them back to rights, take the pension off them, save the welfare state.
Spotters! Right here! Let's go!
Heard you breasted Valentine.
Good work.
Pay your copy of the public. Leave those to
One example to be made. I don't know. I mean, right, where do you stand on this? Because I remember we talked about the guy, the Canadian dude, who defaced a temple with his name, like a 1200-year-old temple. He wrote, "I'm a dedicated worker on it."
That's a little bit more accountable.
And then, you know, I think he got a fine. And you were like, give that man a cookie. Well, like, that might not be your exact words, but you're like, oh.
Why doesn't the mayor come out of his office, huh? He's afraid of talking to the press? I bet if I said I was with the Institute, he'd come running.
Do you ever think maybe you could get a man's attention easier if you use softer words, honey? Maybe shout a little less?
Oh, that reminds me of this article I'm writing about the mayor's affair with a certain air-headed blonde. Oh, look who it is. What brings you to the mayor's office, huh?
I'm trying to track down a man named Kellogg.
Interesting. That's the guy who bought the house in the abandoned West Stands. Had that kid.
If you are done crowding the reception area, Miss Piper, the mayor needs to make time for more responsible citizens.
I was just leaving anyway.
Piper.
Good luck with McDonough. Just, watch yourself around him, okay?
The mayor's receiving visitors as long as they aren't members of the press. Did you need help?
I need to talk to someone about Kellogg's old house in the West Stands.
Mr. Kellogg's residence? He left town a while ago. We foreclosed on the property and locked it up. If there was something belonging to the man that you have a claim on, you could ask the mayor to hear you out. No guarantees.
I'll talk to the mayor then.
He set aside time to talk to petitioners all day. Best of luck.
No funny business around the mayor. Got it?
Ah, yes. I remember you.
Mayor McDonough.
What can I do for you? Oh, don't be shy. I'm the mayor. I'm here to serve the people.
A man named Kellogg used to live in this city. I need to search his house.
I see. Well, whatever reasons you have, I take my citizens' privacy very seriously. Even after they've left.
I can't allow you to invade someone else's home. That's all there is to it.
Please, Mayor McDonough. This man, Kellogg, kidnapped my baby. I need to find him.
I see. I'm sorry, but however horrible the crimes this Mr. Kellogg may have committed, your word alone isn't hard evidence.
I understand. You have rules. Maybe for the right amount, you can bend them a bit?
What? How dare you? I'm the mayor, for God's sake, not some thug for hire.
Fine. Thanks for nothing.
I know it's disappointing, but I have to think of all the people of Diamond City, not just the needs of one person.
I'm sorry, but you're not getting that key from me. Why do you want it so badly anyway?
Please. All I want to do is find my baby. The man who owned that house kidnapped him.
I've heard the sob stories before, so save them.
Maybe we can reach an agreement. I just happen to have a pile of caps here.
A gift? For me? Oh, how generous. Oh, there I go again, leaving a key out on my desk and forgetting to put it back.
Hey, Geneva.
Remember, you didn't get that key from me. Now, if you're actually interested in buying a house, we have a permit available.
Let's hear about the permit.
We have one home available. It's in the center of town, right near the market. You can do whatever you like with the interior, and all the tools you need to make your own furnishings are provided at no extra charge.
Let me think it over.
Take all the time you need.
We're off to Savannah from Texas. Hello, Swiss Chris and Meet Pete. Couldn't think of clever alliteration, so I decided to do rhymes instead. But they're also not clever, so I'm an alt in the smallish town of Nakatsugawa in Gifu Prefecture. It's along the
Latest
Naxendo,
news from
and
the
I really love it
Commonwealth.
here. Smiley face. I listened to your audiobook and I related so much
Got
to your
too much
experience
dirt in
living
that
small
hair?
town during your first
Get
3
it
years in
trimmed.
Japan. Anyway,
You won't
some of my
regret it.
fellow
Care
alts
my
here,
care
and I
cares
decided
about
to
you.
do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign.
Don't be caught dead! Protection from Commonwealth weaponry!
We buy and sell everything to everyone, except synths. No synths allowed here.
Idea of reserving a room at the local karaoke place. We spend at least
What? You got a staring problem?
What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments. But we're back just a moment with your stories, comments, and questions in the fax machine. Wow.
Nice piece you got there.
The fax machine. What do we got this
Keep it
week
holstered.
from our listeners?
Everyone who's anyone reads public
We're off to Savannah
occurrences.
from Texas. Hello, Swiss Chris and Meet Pete. Couldn't think of clever alliteration, so I decided to do rhymes instead.
I'm telling you, it ain't just a story. University Point, that settlement on the coast, wiped out. I sense.
Prefecture. It's along the Naxendo, and I really love it here. Smiley face. I listened to your audiobook and I related so much to your experience living in a small town during your first 3 years in Japan. Anyway, some of my fellow alts here, and I decided to do.
Got the key? All right, let's head. Let's take a look around. Kellogg must have left something behind.
These appear worthless. Surely we can leave that behind.
Place seems small to you? Figured a guy like Kellogg would think big. Nothing here. Did you check out that desk? I'm I'm telling you, something's not right. Look for anything out of sorts. A switch. A button.
Switches under the desk.
Well, that's one way to hide a room. Well, look at this. All of a Merc's favorite things.
Gwinnett's stout beer, 44 caliber bullets, cigars, San Francisco sunlights.
Interesting brand. Won't lead us anywhere on its own, though.
I wonder if dog meat could pick up the scent.
Say, that's not a bad idea. Some dogs out there in the Commonwealth can track a man for miles. Why don't you go fetch him and let him have a whiff? See if he picks up the trail. Before you head out, I know this is personal business. If you have to face Kellogg on your own, just say so. Besides, you already have plenty of company. We can't all go sniffing through the Commonwealth after one man.
Any words of wisdom?
If Kellogg really is the one who kidnapped your son, then he's dangerous. But so are you. You don't need to be afraid of him, or anything else the Commonwealth throws at you.
Goodbye, Nick.
Hopefully not forever. I want to see you and your kids safe and sound when you get back. Good luck. Anytime you need help, just come knocking.
Yeah, I think I'm about to get off. I'm fucking hungry. I'm fucking hungry. I'm thinking about taking a cab just to get fucking ramen, which is crazy, but, you know, I have money to spend. You know. So, yeah, I'm about to get off. Thank you guys for watching. See you around.